welcome all as we witness what we witnessing now is the prelude to a very special event that's about to unfold right here in St. George's. 13 years, roughly 13 years ago, Hurricane Ivan destroyed the parliament of the country. And ravaged the country, and since that time, Grenada embarked on a massive rebuilding phase that happened over the years. Now we're at the point where the parliament of the country has been rebuilt. A new parliament with support from several friendly governments: Australia, United Arab Emirates, Mexico, the Grenada government contributing their portion as well. And what we're witnessing now is the prelude. We're about to see an official ceremony for the opening of the new parliament at Mount Wendale in St. George's. What we're looking at now is the Royal Grenada Police Force band that was just entertaining, providing some musical entertainment there. And we are seeing officials. Here is Prime Minister Keith Rowley. He is there speaking to the President of the Senate, Honorable Chester Humphrey. Lots of officials will be here. I think it's about 3 prime ministers should be in the country for this event. It has not started yet. It's scheduled to start around 10 o'clock. But lots of dignitaries and officials visiting. Government officials will be there as well. So there's a whole full pack official opening ceremony. That's a procedure that's about to take place. And there we are looking at the new Parliament of Grenada. The outside look. And of course, lots of Grenadians and so on, visitors, or lots of persons would like to see, and they will be accommodated as well. So it's not just an event for officials, but the ordinary man / person would be able to see the proceedings, witness the proceedings, and have a view and an inside tour, a tour of the facility, the state-of-the-art modern facility, which will stand out in the region. The place beautifully decorated, flowers everywhere. It's a bit rainy in Grenada this morning, a bit of showers coming down. But for sure, as Leslie Horsmouth Sion would say, it wouldn't dampen the enthusiasm of anyone here today. So this is the Government Information Service. We're live. We'll be joining by the Grenada Broadcasting Network and MTV television and other media houses to bring this broadcast. I think CARICOM is also, OECS is also taking the link. Good morning to you, Kendall. So this is the scene we're witnessing as the Royal Grenada Police Force provides some entertainment. A highlight of the ceremony as well would be an address by Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. He will also address the proceedings. Also, Works Minister Gregory Boyne is also due to address the proceedings. Representative from donor countries will also be here accompanying the Prime Ministers. They unveil plaques in this ceremonial event. Of course, Excellency the Governor General Dame Cecile La Grenade will also be in attendance, gracing the place with her presence, and of course signaling the start. Parliamentarians will all be here, from members of the lower house, members of the upper house, and it's quite a building, quite a state-of-the-art building indeed. And of course, one of the aspects of it is an office for the Prime Minister, the leader of government business, and a leader of the opposition.
Ladies and gentlemen,
over the years, the opposition will have rent space somewhere, the official parliamentary opposition, but there is an accommodation for the official parliamentary opposition in this facility as well. Most of the ceremony would happen outside. I see all the tents erected. We see officials continue to arrive. Let's see if we can get some atmosphere from our new parliament as we get ready to start the official ceremony. to his left, Commissioner Winston James, accompanying the Prime Minister, who stands in the guard upon there. Okay, so there we see the Prime Minister arriving and meeting with his Trinidadian counterpart, shaking hands with Keith Woolley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and also shaking hands with Senator Chester Humphrey, President of the Senate. The three gentlemen having a light chat there. You can see them smiling there. Photographer moving in on a moment there. Prime Minister explaining something to Keith Woolley and Chester Humphrey looking on.
Pleasant morning, ladies and gentlemen. I beg your attention. I advise that you turn your cell phones off as we're about to start the proceedings here this morning. At this point, we also like to acknowledge the arrival of the Prime Minister of St. Lucia and also His Lordship Clyde Martin Harvey, Bishop of the Diocese of St. George. That's it. That's it. Once again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As we continue to celebrate this 44th year as a proud independent nation, I invite you please to stand as a mark of respect for our country and nation as we enjoy a presentation of the national anthem performed by the Royal Grenada Police Force Band. I invite you to remain standing. The inspired writings of the good Lord teaches us to seek and rely on his presence and guidance always. To invoke his presence here this morning, seek his blessings and comfort, we invite his Lordship Clyde Martin Harvey, Bishop of the Diocese of St. George.
Right Honorable Prime Minister, members of Cabinet and Parliament, brothers and sisters in Grenada land. We celebrate today not only a handing over, but I would suggest also a transition. A transition from York House, a building on Church Street which I see every time I come out of my cathedral, built by our enslaved and colonized ancestors. We come today to a Parliament building built by the labor of free and skilled men. That fact alone gives us pause. And I want to invite you in a moment now just to think of that transition. From a building which is now overgrown by weeds, but the basic structure is still there, to a building surrounded now by flowers, and which we trust will always be surrounded by flowers. So let us pause for a moment and make that transition in our own minds, from slavery to freedom, from colonization to independence. A reading from the first book of Kings, chapter 8. Solomon stood before the altar of the Lord, and in the presence of the whole community, and stretching out his hands towards heaven, he said, Lord God of Israel, there is no God like you in heaven above or the earth below. You keep your covenant of mercy with your people, who are faithful to you with their whole heart. Look kindly on the prayer and petition of your servants this day, and listen to the cry of supplication, which I, your servant, utter on their behalf. May your eyes watch night and day over this temple, the place where you have decreed you will be honored by all of us. May you heed the prayer which we, your servants, offer in this place. Listen to our petitions, which we offer you, and let this gathering be so inspired by your Spirit that all of us may leave here blessed because we came and able to recommit ourselves to all that this land means to us. We ask this through Jesus Christ, our Lord.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have your seats. Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada. Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Honorable Alan Chastanet, Prime Minister of St. Lucia. Your Excellency Owen LaRocque, Secretary General of the CARICOM Secretariat. Ministers of Government. Senator the Honorable Chester Humphrey, President of the Senate. The Honorable Michael Peer, Speaker of the House of Representatives. Former Governor General Sir Daniel Williams and Lady Williams. Sir Royston Hopkin and Lady Hopkin, other Knights of Her Majesty's realm. Former Prime Minister Mr. Tillman Thomas and Mrs. Thomas. His Excellency Jorge Guerrero, Dean of the Resident Diplomatic Corps and Ambassador of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Other distinguished members of the Diplomatic Corps, both residents and visiting to celebrate with us here today. Special recognition to Ambassador of Mexico, His Excellency Oscar Esparza Vargas, High Commissioner of Australia, His Excellency John Pilbeam, Consul General of the United Arab Emirates, His Excellency Majid Al-Swarari, members of the judiciary, other members of parliament, members of the clergy, other heads of regional and international organizations, Mrs. Beryl Isaac, Secretary to the Cabinet, permanent secretaries, and other senior government officials, Mr. Winston James, Acting Commissioner of the Royal Grenada Police Force, and Mrs. James, honorable consuls, members of the United Nations Office for Project Services, Mr. Mike Quinn and his team from Quinn Construction, members of the business community, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends all, once again, good morning and welcome. As we assemble to witness the commissioning of this new facility, it's important that we understand the importance and significance of the event as we continue to write the pages of our parliamentary history. In recent times, we have seen the construction of ministerial complexes, an international airport, a modern port facility, a medical school and related services, huge expansions to our healthcare facilities, high-end hotels and a stadia, all crucially important to our nation's continued growth and development. But ladies and gentlemen, majestically perched and commanding an unrivaled view of the town of St. George, this building stands tall. This is the home of the nation's business. This is the home of the people. This is the house where every Grenadian will be heard. As we trace our growth in parliamentary practices back to the 1780s, through the Treaty of Versailles passed by the British, in the early 1800s, the House of Legislature was formed, and another majestic structure, this time in the town of St. George, was commissioned as its home. In 1807, the name York House was adopted after the Duke of York, who presided over the opening ceremony that said year. Grenada became an associated state in 1967 and a sovereign nation in 1974. From 1807 to September 2004, York House was the home of parliamentary practices and an important symbol of our nation. The building was originally built in 1780s by as a private residence for the Dupontu family. A street in St. George's is still called after Dupontu. This morning, we should also remember those who would have laid the foundation and in their deliberate wisdom started the journey. The likes of T.A. Marichaud, William Galway Donovan, and of course, the architect and father of our nation, Sir Eric Matthew Gary. Understanding our past, articulating our legacy, we are here this morning as we boldly look forward. It is fitting at this time, ladies and gentlemen, that I invite to officially welcome you on behalf of the government of Grenada, the parliamentary representative for the town of St. George, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Would you please welcome the Honorable Peter David.
Watch it.
Good morning, everybody. Pleasant good morning. Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister, Grenada. Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister Alan Chastanet, St. Lucia. Your Excellency Earl LaRock, Secretary General of CARICOM, Ministers of Government, other parliamentarians, members of the Diplomatic Corps, special invited guests. Let me first of all welcome you to the town of St. George. Friends, sisters and brothers who have joined us physically and virtually on this most auspicious occasion. With great national pride and personal pleasure, I welcome you all to the opening of this new Parliament building here in the town of St. George. Your presence is a testimony to the significance of this institution, the Parliament, in the life of any democratic nation, especially a fledgling one as ours. To rebuild has been turned into a workable reality. I wish to remind that just as democracy is not a product but a process, the opening of this Parliament building is not an end in itself. It signifies an ongoing process of strengthening the democratic polity of respect and tolerance among all sectors of Grenadian society. It also signifies a commitment to developing public opinion and enlightening young minds as we build a more civic-minded society. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, on behalf of the people of the town of St. George, I heartily welcome you to this most beautiful piece of real estate. You know, it has been said that the three best views in Grenada, in fact, the town of St. George, belong to the cemetery, the prisons, and the hospital. Today, I am proud that this government has seen it fit to ensure that one of the best views in this nation now belongs to all of the people of the state of Grenada. And while we in the town of St. George are happy to host this beautiful house, remind you all that this house is your home. Please visit anytime. Once again, a warm welcome, and I thank you to all. God bless you.
Minister David, thank you very much. I'm sure you sit in awe here this morning, ladies and gentlemen, trying to appreciate the magnitude of this building. But I'm sure you will understand that quite a lot went into turning this into the reality that we are seeing. And to give an overview of the entire project, I would like to invite the Operational Hub Director of the United Nations Office of Project Services, Mr. Inga Frack Olson, to make a presentation.
Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister. Dr. the Honourable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. the Honourable Ralph Gonsalves, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Honourable Alan Chestnut, Prime Minister of St. Lucia. Your Excellency, Irvin LaRocque, Secretary General of the CARICOM Secretariat. Ministers of Government, other parliamentarians, past and present, Knights of Her Majesty's Realm, members of the Diplomatic Corps, senior government officials, members of the Royal Grenada Police Force, members of the business community, specially invited guests, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored and proud to be here today. Congratulations to all of you with the new Houses of Parliament. For most of us, this will be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. As a seasoned UN diplomat, I can say that I have certainly never attended an opening of the House of Parliament, and I don't know anybody who has. This is a memorable day in the building of a resilient democracy in Grenada. For those that don't know us, I'll start with a brief introduction about us. UNOPS is a United Nations agency. The United Nations General Assembly has reaffirmed UNOPS' mandate as a central resource for the UN system in procurement and physical infrastructure development, including the latest capacity development activities. UNOPS' executive board is composed of UN member states and is responsible for supervision of the activities of UNOPS. The UNOPS is you. The UNOPS is a vehicle of the UN member states, including Grenada. Right now, Antigua and Barbuda represents the Caribbean countries in our board, but I'm positive that on a regular basis, the Grenada ambassador to the UN contributes to the shaping of who we are and how we help UN member states. UNOPS' mission, as guided by the member states, is to help people build better lives and countries achieve peace and sustainable development. We're focused on implementation, committed to UN values, and private sector efficiency. UNOPS became involved in the Grenada Houses of Parliament in January 2015, initially assisting the ministry with a comprehensive review of the designs. Since January 2016, UNOPS has had a full-time team supporting all aspects of the project here in Grenada. The designs of the House of Parliament is modern and progressive. It's a landmark facility that the people of Grenada can be proud of. It includes all the aspects to satisfy the provisions of the Grenada building codes and guidelines, as well as other guidelines that are on international standards. Public infrastructure is always an expensive and complex process involving a lot of stakeholders. Parliamentary construction, even more so. In today's fiscally challenged environment, infrastructure needs to continue infrastructure needs continue to increase, yet the funds available are becoming harder and harder to attain. Hence today, more than ever, it's important that we leverage the funding available as well as possible. To this end, here in Grenada, UNOPS has supported the Ministry of Infrastructure Development to apply international best practice, project management and construction management to ensure that the works are sustainable and to the highest possible standards. Here in the Caribbean, the complexity of infrastructure is compounded by the annual weather cycle. The 2017 hurricane season reminded us all that the time for complacency in terms of upgrading the physical infrastructure of the Caribbean has passed. The opening of the Grenada House of Parliament today, some 14 years after the Hurricane Ivan, shows just how long and complex hurricane recovery is and how essential it will be to invest in disaster risk reduction. With the 2018 hurricane season already underway, the urgent need to improve our infrastructure is being acutely felt by millions of people across the Caribbean. The lessons of 2017 must be brought into our planning and execution of infrastructure, and it must happen today. It can only happen through collaboration between countries of the Caribbean and with a focus on innovative and long-term solutions that serve the urgent needs of today while withstanding the long-term challenges of tomorrow. This understanding of the fundamental importance of appropriate, sustainable and resilient infrastructure is reflected in the Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goals is an extraordinary global consensus documented for a vision and a plan for our common future. Infrastructure development stands at the center of most of the 17 goals. The Grenada Houses of Parliament reminds us that it will take effective local, regional and global partnerships to realize the innovative, resilient infrastructure facilities that can drive the societal development envisioned in the aspect that every woman, man and child deserves. You know that we're here today to support not just the government of Grenada, but all governments and development actors in achieving these goals. I would like to end with a few thank yous. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the people of Grenada and the government of Grenada for the faith and trust they've put in UNOPS to assist them in such an important project. Secondly, I'd like to thank the development partners and the citizens of the countries they represent, without which the project would have been difficult to realize. I speak of the government of the United States of Mexico, the United Arab Emirates, the Commonwealth of Australia, and of course, the government of Grenada. Lastly, I would like to thank all of those thousands of individuals that would work very hard in every capacity to realize this amazing building. Thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here on this special day in the creation of a resilient democracy in Grenada. All the best.
Ms. Olson, thank you very much. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I beg your patience as we pause to acknowledge the arrival of the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Ralph Gonzalez. Again, ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together for the distinguished Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Many nations, ladies and gentlemen, have contributed to this project, and this morning we'd like to recognize some. At this time, we'd like to call on the representative of the United Arab Emirates, His Excellency Najib Al Souradi, the UAE Consul General based in New York.
Good morning, everybody. Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, Honourable Peter David, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Labour of Grenada, the Honourable Nicholas Steele, Minister of Health, Social Security and International Business, and Special Envoy to the Gulf States, the Honourable Gregory Bowen, Minister of Infrastructure, Development, Energy, Public Utilities, Transport and Implementation of Grenada, Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be here for the inauguration ceremony of the Grenada Parliament building, a project proudly supported by the United Arab Emirates government. We offer our sincere congratulations to the Right Honourable Dr. Keith Mitchell for his re-election as Grenada Prime Minister, and we look forward to working with you to further enhance our ever-growing ties between our two peoples and governments. In 2012, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed, the UAE Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, committed in a meeting with the Honourable Minister Steele to help Grenada restore the House of the People for all that it symbolizes, which was destroyed by Hurricane Ivan. I remember clearly my last visit to Grenada with Her Excellency Rima Hashmi, UAE Minister of State for International Cooperation, in January 2016 to discuss the reconstruction of this building, among other issues, that would contribute to strengthening the bilateral relationship between our two countries. It's a great honor for me to return and see all the progress that has been made in less than 3 years. As a result of our strong bilateral relations, while our two countries may appear to be far apart, in many ways we are very similar. I'm from Abu Dhabi, an area filled with islands, beaches, deserts, and nature reserves. Coming here today from New York City, I'm seeing Grenada's long stretches of beaches, breathtaking views, and I'm reminded of my home in the UAE. Let me extend, on behalf of the UAE government and our people, a warm congratulations to Grenada on the completion of this historic building. The new Parliament building is a symbol of the Grenadian people's civic pride and political heritage, and the UAE is honored to have contributed to its reconstruction. We thank the Mexican government for its contribution to this project as well. Today's ceremony reinforces the close relationship between the UAE and Grenada. Our two countries have enjoyed over 40 years of strong cooperation and friendship since 1975. Through the commitment of the UAE and Grenadian leadership, we continue to strengthen these ties that have shown tremendous growth in the last 6 years. Recently, the UAE provided a grant through the UAE Caribbean Fund, a fund to support the deployment of renewable energy projects in Grenada, and we continue to explore more areas of support and collaboration to help strengthen the island's resilience. Moreover, we welcome the establishment of Grenada's consulate in Dubai. The UAE's long-standing relationship with Grenada is based on our shared belief in the rights of all people to peace, prosperity, and development. We thank Grenada for submitting its letter of participation in Expo 2020 Dubai, and we hope Grenada will also join us in Dubai for the first UAE Caribbean Cooperation Forum taking place in November of 2018. The forum will further deepen trade investment and cultural cooperation, and Grenada's presence will be important. As we continue to advance bilateral relations between the UAE and Grenada, especially in the economic and trade sector, We look forward to finalizing and signing agreements related to the avoidance of double taxation and protection of investments. We offer our sincere congratulations to Grenada's newly appointed Minister of Foreign Affairs and Labour, the Honourable Peter David. UAE deeply cherishes our friendship with the people of Grenada. We're eager to identify new opportunities and to build upon the robust partnerships that has mutually benefited our two countries for decades. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As we continue, our program dictates that we invite the representative of Mexico, His Excellency Oscar Esparza Vargas, Ambassador of the United Mexican States to Grenada. Would you please put your hands together for His Excellency Oscar Esparza Vargas. Thank you.
Good morning to you all. His Excellency Dr. the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Grenada, Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Alan Chastney, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Keith Rowley, the Secretary General of CARICOM, Irwin LaRocque, Prime Minister of St. Vincent, Ralph Gonsalves, David, Parliamentary Representative, Town of St. George, Honorable Ministers of Government and Members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen. It is for me a great privilege to participate with the representation of the Mexican government in the formal handing over of the ceremony of the new House of the Parliament of Grenada. On behalf of the Mexican Agency for International Development Cooperation, I would like to express how honored we are for having contributed to the creation of this imposing and beautiful building. Your Excellency, one of the strategic points of President Enrique Peña Nieto's foreign policy is to have a Mexican nation which works as a responsible global actor. In that way, Mexico is working to strengthen its international presence and its international cooperation for the development, and one of these highest priorities is the Caribbean Basin, of which we are proud members. The interest in the development of the Caribbean derives from Mexico's cultural and geographical locations in the Caribbean. As you know, my country has the largest economy and population of the Greater Caribbean. Mexico considers cooperation for development as a fundamental element in the efforts to promote integration, resiliency, and sustainability in the Caribbean. We strive to share our advantages as much as possible, collaborating in infrastructure, disaster risk management, and agriculture, amongst others. Grenada is one of the concrete examples of our willingness to be a strong and reliable partner for this region. Mexico is committed to accompanying Grenada in its development efforts, as we have proven through the many bilateral cooperation projects and initiatives in place. The flagship examples of Mexico's cooperation in Grenada, but not the only one, is the reconstruction project of the new House of Parliament, of which we are glad to be one of the main international partners. As you are aware, this project emanates after the Hurricane Ivan crossed Grenada in September 2004 and damaged the House of Parliament. In 2014, the government of Grenada asked for support of Mexico through the Yucatan Fund. The project was approved in 2016 and the construction began in 2017. The Parliament is not the only project that we have developed in this beautiful country. In 2015, the Mexican government funded a stone crusher to produce crushed stone, a vital component of the use of the construction industry to avoid the erosion of the beaches. In that same year, we started a successful process to bring 1,500 coconut plants resistant to diseases. There are also initiatives in the fields of cultural and educational cooperation. For instance, since its inception in 2014, the embassy has worked with the Chocolate Fest of Grenada to bring a Mexican expert to participate in the festival. In the areas of education and training, a number of graduate and undergraduate scholarships have being given to Grenadian nationals to pursuit of studies in Mexico. Opportunities have also been afforded to attend short and medium-term training courses in Mexico. Additionally, Mexico has facilitated the attendance of Ministry of Foreign Affairs personnel at the training courses for diplomats. A special mention must be given to our common efforts to strengthen the bilateral legal framework. In recent months, the Basic Agreement for Development Cooperation has entered into force, and we are now signing the agreement for the establishment of a mechanism of consultations on matters of common interest between the Minister of Foreign Affairs of both countries. This renewed impetus of our bilateral relation is a result of the meetings between Your Excellency, the Prime Minister Keith Mitchell, and the President of Mexico, Enrique Peña Nieto, the latest of which took place in the Mexico-CARICOM Summit in Belize in October last year, a high-level meeting that contributed to strengthen our mutual understanding and led to closer ties. As a testament of those ties, the library of this Parliament will be named Mexico. We are very grateful for this decision. Our aim is that the present and future generations of Grenadians will found on its bilingual collections not only the memories of the friendly country, but the inspiration to develop their skills and therefore to contribute to the progress of their nations. Excellencies, Mexico is a close and reliable partner of the Eastern Caribbean, both in the bilateral and multilateral levels. As a result of the synergies that we have developed in the Eastern Caribbean, the embassy to the OCS countries manages one of the largest cooperation portfolios in the world for Mexico, both in terms of the number of infrastructure projects and the financing directed towards these projects. Currently, Mexico is developing projects in the OECS countries for an amount of $27 million. In March of this year, we handed over two very important projects, one in St. Lucia and one in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In St. Lucia, the Dennery North Water Treatment System, which was financed with $13.5 million from Mexico. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the largest bridge in the country, as well as the three smaller bridges and embankment. Last week, the process to build the Mexico Marigot Hospital in the north of Dominica was approved. Lastly, the Mexican authorities are waiting for Antigua and Barbuda to present two projects to assist them with their construction efforts in both islands. In closing, I want to reiterate that Mexico has a keen interest in the development of Grenada, as well as the Caribbean as a whole, a region with which we share a magnificent sea that, far from separating us, bring us closer and give us the chance to capitalize on our synergies to face common challenges together as allies. I want to extend our recognition to the United Nations Office for UNOPS for helping us implement and supervise this project as a financial intermediary. I want to thank Honorable Prime Minister Keith Mitchell for the invitation to speak at this important ceremony on behalf of our government. Congratulations to you all, and thank you very much.
Ambassador, thank you very much. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I beg your patience as we reestablish the stage for performance from some of our most talented youths of this country. And momentarily, we will be introducing the National Schools Orchestra.
Must move faster than that. You must move faster than that. You must move faster than that. Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, happy am I to introduce to you the National Schools Orchestra. Ladies and gentlemen, the National School Students Orchestra. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, would you please show your appreciation and your love for the future musical talents of this country. I draw your attention back to our program as we continue. We would like to invite our Minister of Infrastructure Development, Public Utilities, Energy, Transportation and Implementation, the Honorable Gregory Bowen, to make a few remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada. Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Honorable Alan Chastany, Prime Minister of St. Lucia. And Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonzalez, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Cabinet colleagues, other parliamentarians, members of the Diplomatic Corps, other distinguished invited guests, fellow Grenadians, and friends of Grenada. At a time when parliamentarians around the world grapple with how to draw those they represent closer to them, I am particularly heartened by the large number of you sharing this historic moment with us at Mount Wendy. This morning, indeed, it is a testimony to the sense of national pride, the resilience of our people, and the bonds of solidarity beyond our shores, all of which were equally critical to realizing the completion of this Grenada Houses of Parliament building that we will officially open today. Grenada's parliamentary tradition is one that we hold dear. Even in the most challenging of times, the principle that government should uphold the rule of law has underpinned our national endeavors. Parliament is the institution charged with the making of laws to serve the greater public good. Housing of this institution is of no less critical importance. Construction of a parliament building to meet that goal, fit for the 21st century and beyond, has been a unique challenge that the government of Grenada, through the Ministry of Infrastructure Development, Public Utilities, Energy, Transport and Implementation, embraced with a sense of responsibility. It is important to recall that the immediate imperative for the construction of this new parliament building was born out of the crucible of national crisis. The devastation by Hurricane Ivan on September 7, 2004 laid bare not only the hallowed halls of the former Parliament building at York House, but also created an onslaught of unprecedented infrastructural damage and wreckage throughout the island. 89% of the country's housing stock was damaged, almost 30% of which required complete rehabilitation and replacement. In excess of 80% of public building structures on the island sustained some form of damage. All but 2 of the primary and secondary schools were affected. 11 health facilities, including the second largest hospital, were seriously damaged. However, brothers and sisters, Ivan did not dim the spirit of resilience in the Grenadian people. Immediately after, we set about the rebuilding task. Homes, schools, medical facilities, roads, bridges, and more. And today, our Parliament building. And we are continuing, for we are painfully aware that we have much more to do. The will, forbearance, and faith of Grenadians and the solidarity of friends of Grenada throughout the region and international community continue to be sources of immense sustenance and hope. On behalf of the government and people of Grenada, I take this opportunity to express our deepest gratitude to all who contributed to this Parliament building, to those who conceived and designed it, to our international donors who partnered to fund it to enable its actualization: Mexico, United Arab Emirates, Australia, and to all who by the labor of mind and body made this building the remarkable reality it is. We express our heartfelt appreciation. Special thanks to the planning committee for today's ceremony. Most of them left here this morning and late this morning. Phase 1 of this project, as you see today, cost approximately $12.2 million US. The government of Grenada secured partial funding for this project from the government of the Republic of Mexico, US $5 million. The government of the United Arab Emirates, US $4.9 million. And the government of Australia, $680,000 US. With the government of Grenada provided counterpart funding in the amount of $1.5 million US, as well as personal resources towards the management of the construction process, led by a committee headed by the minister, your humble servant. Local architects COCO won the architectural competition, and a contract was signed for the design and construction supervision in 2012. In June 2014, the government of Grenada submitted tender documents to 6 pre-qualified companies in order to select a contractor for the construction of this facility. And a local contractor, Quinn Company, won that contract. Prior to this, the Marshall Brothers, another local contractor, undertook basic site preparation and was paid entirely by the government of Grenada. Since the government of Grenada had to deliver an accessible and prepared site, they pay out the responsibility. We recognize the High Commission of Australia. In May 2015, from the $5 million Republic of Mexico's grant, the United Nations Office for Project Services, UNOPS, with specializes in implementation, infrastructure, procurement, and project management, was engaged to support the Ministry of Infrastructure Development in executing the project, with major construction commencing on the site in March of 2016. The building took 25 months to complete, with a total of 200 jobs generated at peak construction periods. It was Sir Winston Churchill who commented, when the House of Commons had to be reconstructed after the Second World War, we shape our buildings and they shape us. In shaping this Parliament building, we have drawn not just on our own heritage, but on the best parliamentary traditions of facilitating transparent and democratic representation. The building is designed as an open public space that provides the best opportunity for the citizens of Grenada to observe the democratic process and to interact with the participants. There is public seating for almost 200 in the chamber, and upon completion of phase 2, yes, phase 2, there will be similar capacity outside of the chamber with live audiovisual displays around the facility. In addition to the main chamber, the building includes offices for the staff of the Houses of Parliament, a dining facility, media bay, childcare area, a sick bay, and access for the disabled, among other amenities. Further, the facility is carded to become a favorite visiting destination for both locals and foreigners. With the government's visionary creation of a Ministry of Climate Resilience and the renewed trust and natural lighting, ventilation, and air conditioning controls. Additionally, the new Department of Implementation, which is now part of the portfolio of the Ministry of Infrastructure Development, Public Utilities, Energy, Transport, and Implementation, will play a critical role in monitoring and evaluation of major infrastructure and other projects. Indeed, this Grenada Houses of Parliament building provided the first true and high-level experience for the ministry in this regard. The execution of this project has prepared the implementation department of the ministry for engaging and steering line ministries and other stakeholders to successful project implementation. The reported implementation rate of 50% for Grenada's public sector investment program will be a thing of the past. The ministry is also charged with the protection of government's infrastructural investment so that it redounds to the benefit of our citizenry. To this end, a strategic operations plan for the management of the facility that takes into account issues such as security, maintenance, has been developed. A qualified building superintendent, proactive maintenance, procurement of the necessary services will be the order of the day. The proposed phase 2 includes an innovative solar PV system over the parliamentary car park and will allow for the upgrade of access roads and some of the building components not included in phase 1, such as hardscaping, public cafe facilities, and more. I close by taking the opportunity as leader of government business in the House of Representatives to reaffirm on behalf of my colleagues and myself our commitment to the continued service to the people of Grenada. And it is with distinct pleasure and great privilege that I do so at this opening ceremony here in our new home. A true landmark in so many ways. May God bless the institution of Parliament. May God bless the new building. And may God bless all of us. Thank you.
Minister Boyne, thank you very much. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of High Commissioner of Australia, His Excellency John Pilbeam. Who I'm sure through the courtesies of Liat got him here to be a part of the ceremony. I hope that Minister Gonzalez will extend our thanks. Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence this morning, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had the honor to introduce this outstanding Grenadian son on countless occasions. And it's always a humbling experience because of his years of service to this country and the region as a whole. As a student, a sportsman, educator, community leader, father, husband, an elder in the community, and of course, our Prime Minister. It's always a challenge for me because I've done it so often to try to find a new way to do it. I'll be very simple and straightforward this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand as I invite and welcome our Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell.
Thank you, Brother Chairman. I don't know after this introduction if I need to speak again. My colleague, Prime Ministers Keith, Ralph, Alan, Secretary General of CARICOM, colleague ministers of the government, President of the Senate, Speaker of the House of Representatives, and other parliamentarians. Permanent secretaries and others who are here. Members of the Royal Grenada Police Force, members of the business community, special invited guests, my dear sisters and brothers all. Before I begin, I've asked you to bear with me. Let me just recognize a special lady here. The lady who's responsible for me standing here. Mom, take a bow. You stand and be recognized. 95 years and counting. If I don't get a little bit of that, I'll be happy. Friends, I think we all believe except the Lord built the house, they labor in vain who built it. Except the Lord keeps the city, the watchman waketh, but in vain. My dear sisters and brothers all, today, June 21st, is a profoundly significant day for parliamentary democracy in our beautiful Spice country. I stand before you, therefore, proud and humbled at the same time, with all the emotions and resolve that I can muster to give the fullest meaning to this very special occasion. This is history. This is a moment in time that we all will remember until we have the last breath. Today, after months of construction and tremendous persistent effort, we have to receive the keys to this most majestic and prominent architectural construct, fittingly symbolic of our democracy, where our houses of parliament will now stand permanently. We gather here today, sisters and brothers, as one nation and people, together with our friends throughout the region and outside of the region, ever conscious of where we have been and how we got here. My dear sisters and brothers, we have always been a resilient nation. All people, all of us, have been our own enduring strength. We have demonstrated the same time and time again throughout history. We have been knocked down by nature and also by human hands. And each time we have gotten back up even stronger. Along the way, we have always been cognizant of the hands that have shown us just in time to help us. It is in this vein, sisters and brothers, I must reiterate our profound and heartfelt thanks to the governments of the peoples of the United Arab Emirates, Mexico, and Australia. Without their direct help, this structure would not have become a reality, particularly during the period of our structural adjustments. They honored their commitment to assist Grenada, and they did so against the backdrop of their own needs. They did so, significantly so, when others with long-dated ties did not, or were unable to, for different reasons. That demonstration of friendship is one that we will cherish forever. Our friendly governments, too, must be thanked for their moral support of Grenada over the years. They know the importance of state buildings in our part of the hemisphere. They know what this means for the consolidation of our democracy and our independence. And they have never failed us. And their voices in advocating for the rebuilding of this important symbolic institution have been consistent. I pause, therefore, to recognize in a special way my colleagues who found the time to be here today. The Prime Minister, Rowley, I know the problems of the head of country, as on a regular daily basis, an hourly basis. Your presence today means a lot to this beautiful country of ours. And I will never forget your country and the rest of the Caribbean stood there with us in the worst of times in 2004. My brother, Ralph Gonzalez from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who tells me now that he's starting to grow nutmegs. We deeply appreciate your presence. I know how tough it was for you to be here. So we excuse your lateness. And he didn't come by late, I want to assure you. Brother Alan Chastney from St. Lucia. In fact, we've just held a OECS Heads of Government meeting which Alan chaired. And the truth is, while I knew he said he was coming, and I know he was occupied for the last 4 days without a break, I didn't expect you to be here. You surprised me, and we're very, very happy to have you here this morning. And our boss, the CARICOM Secretariat, Ambassador LaRock, it is nice to have you, fitting that the CARICOM is represented at the General Secretariat level. Friends, I'm grateful of your presence, and the country, I know, are all appreciative of it. My dear sisters and brothers, as we behold this important state symbol, we are all captivated by the beauty of the architecture, which befits the fascinating and panoramic view of St. George and the surrounding landscape. From the deep blue waters of Grand Anse Bay to the mountain ranges just ahead of us and the forts surrounding the capital. Arising from the proverbial ashes of York House, our previous parliament, which was completely destroyed by Hurricane Ivan in 2004, now has a permanent home here on the site of Mount Weldale. Colleague, being here today has special significance in another sense. I could recall the morning after Hurricane Ivan struck us. As it's well known, the Prime Minister's residence is just down, around there. The former Prime Minister just there, and the Governor General's house is just there. And I remember the morning after coming and saw everything on the ground. Everything on the ground. This was a time of serious emotions for me. I don't know how I made it through that difficult period. But because of the support of the Grenadian people and our friends regionally and internationally, we all can be here today. Once again, thank you all so much. Sisters and brothers, earlier this year, parliamentarians were given a tour of this building under construction. In all its beauty and splendor, I asked the architects and project managers what I considered then to be the most important question. With the recent hurricane season and devastation, I asked, can this building withstand Category 5 or 6 hurricane? This, my brothers, was a necessary question because this is the new norm, 5 and 6 category hurricanes. Climate change and its effects are here to stay, no matter what, how, and whom say otherwise. We must be prepared to consider that phenomenon in all our decisions. Grenada has seen its fair share of destructions of I have had the fortune, some may say misfortune, at times to have led Grenada through many years of trials and tribulations. I can therefore attest that Grenadians' parliamentary democracy has traversed a checkered history, but it is one which forms an inseparable part of our people's struggle for social justice and liberation. This little democracy, built on the foundation of our nation's greats such as T.A. Marichaud, Eric Matthew Gary, Morris Bishop, was literally forged in sweat and blood. This is why, fellow citizens of this beautiful isle, I am proud of all of you, the citizens of this country. I am proud of the many men and women who understood and accepted that, yes, while money could have been allocated elsewhere, it was necessary for us to restore this building as a house of the people. As citizens, we have not always agreed on all issues, but we all must be committed to Grenada's development and future. At a time when some politicians around the world bring more division than unity, I am mindful that here in the region, and I speak in this case for Grenada, we are seeing the reverse as our people draw closer to each other and confront each other with the challenges that we face. The social partnership between the government, the trade union movement, the churches, the business community, civil society, and the non-governmental organizations must never be taken for granted for the role it plays in Grenada's recent development. I was particularly moved earlier watching everyone from all walks of life, every political, social, economic, and religious strata make their way up this hill to celebrate the opening of this historic institution. Somewhere in my view, Theophilus Marichaud must be smiling. So too is Christophe. Our Grenadian pride and unity and spirit are on full display. Sisters and brothers, building Grenada has been the hallmark of this government whenever it has occupied the seat of government. Over the years, we have brought universal electrification and potable water to this nation. We built both the cricket and athletic stadium, and we built them after Hurricane Ivan. We built and expanded the General Hospital, constructed as also a cruise port, facilitated the transformation of the Lagoon area and the building of Port Louis. Having returned to office in 2013, after our sabbatical, we restored economic stability to this nation and improved investor confidence in Grenada's international reputation. We built the athletic stadium, which now facilitates international track and field events. We built a new diagnostic wing at the General Hospital, which is to be opened soon. And we substantially completed this our new Parliament building here at Mount Weldale, which in a moment we'll have to unveil to the people and the world at large. But my friends, my dear sisters and brothers, we are more than concrete government. We have not only built structures and infrastructure, we have built the human capital, which is our people. In just the last 5 years, in excess of 1,000 students have received scholarships and other assistance to further studies at home and abroad. Many others have received skills training opportunities in their various fields. We have made strides in improving productivity in our public service. We continue to facilitate opportunities for the creation of small businesses and the implementation of communication technologies in our daily life, study, and work. We have taken care of our elderly and our vulnerable citizens, and we continue to explore ways to improve the standard of living of every Grenadian man, woman, and child. Our dedication to holistic development of the state of Grenada is evident, and we continue to work tirelessly to ensure that our trajectory is only forward. We must keep moving. And you know, we must sit down. Sisters and brothers, as I conclude, I wish to underscore a most important point. It is the task and the foolish intention of this government to ensure that Parliament gives voice to the hopes of everyone gathered here, your families and friends. The Parliament has been shaped to invite everyone in to listen to the concerns of the people and to speak for them. The building will forever channel aspirations, resolving conflicting views, and shape this country's future. I give the assurance, therefore, that under my watch and that of the new National Party's government, this building will always be a symbol of collaboration and the fullest representation for all the people of our land. It will reflect and respect our socio-economic diversity, our myriad of dreams and interests. So although the people decided there's no official opposition, when you go up there, you will see the office of the leader of the opposition and the staff of the opposition support the leader of the opposition. In other words, while there isn't, the intention is there. Sisters and brothers, on this hill, and on this day, I pledge to uphold the most basic truth and promise that this Parliament building is indeed a Grenadian building. It was constructed by the people for the people. Now, it is therefore my greatest pleasure and a memory that I will forever cherish as part of my own legacy, and I assume all of you, to officially declare open this most majestic symbol, the House of the People of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Mar. Thank you.
Prime Minister, thank you very much. At this time, we'd just like to ask the Prime Minister to pause for a while as we invite the following persons: the Ambassador of Mexico, the High Commissioner of Australia, the Consul General of the UAE, and also the Minister of Communications and Works to join the Prime Minister with the unveiling of the plaque. I beg your patience and your understanding while that process takes place, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so we've just had a feature just from Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, this event in which we'll witnessing the opening of the new Parliament. So Wendy, you're here, you were up there, and we're getting to the point now where the Prime Minister will be accompanied by the donors, and they'll be about to unveil the plaque.
Well, definitely, Raul. We've been up there this morning just about the time when it was about to begin, and it was definitely a historic moment. Of course, having to be able to witness the official opening of our new parliament after 14 years.
Yeah, just about 14
Just about
years.
14 years. People came out in their numbers to make sure that they're part of a day like today. The ambience there is quite, it's out of this world. There's also, should we call it watchdogs? There are security dogs around
Okay.
the area as well.
Let's just say security.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Yes.
Security dogs and so forth. So it's just a show of the level of security that will be there at our new Parliament building.
So what we're witnessing there is the Prime Minister in the presence of the donors. They're unveiling the plaque. So those officials are there. I don't think we're getting a clear camera shot of it actually happening, but that wall that we see there to the left.
It's a very historic showing of the wall. What happened there, if you were following the lead up to this specific wall, it's basically a picture depicting the actual architect of our forts.
Mm-hmm.
The stone effects and that sort of things.
So that's the significance of the
That's
wall.
the significance of the wall.
Right.
Listening to a previous interview with the architects, and that's one of the things that they highlighted that they wanted to ensure that was part of the feature.
All of that is good, but we're not getting a
clear view of it.
It's
a nice stony look, right?
We see them around the wall. They're looking. So it just has happened. It has happened, and we're moving on. There in the center is
the big
Ralph Gonzalez, Prime Minister of the comrade
Dr.
himself.
Keith Rowley, we can
Dr.
see him in the distance as well.
Right. Prime Minister Mitchell is there. We see Alan Chastanet, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, is there as well. Flanked by security. They're moving away from so they've done the unveiling of the plaque, which is significant, which is ceremonial, and now they're going to have the blessing of the building by His Lordship, the Bishop of St. George, accompanied by the presiding officer. So that's the next item on the agenda.
Yes, Rob. That's and also this is also part of what we see today as 100 days in office, as well as a new administration since the general election 2018 on the 13th.
Well, everybody talks about 100 days in
Yeah.
office. It's the big thing, A new administration comes in, 100 days in office, the achievement. So I guess it's nice to that this position this. It is a high point moment, because remember, we have come a long way from 14 years in terms of being battered and bruised, and I think Keith Mitchell administration was in office around that time, and he went through a hell of a time when that hurricane struck, and he would have led the healing process, and he would have led the Build Back Better campaign and the rebuilding, and of course, and so we into this era where so even with this event being a major high point, a lot of other events and other things that would have happened over the past 5 years would have fit in as well, in terms of highlights, in terms of things that have happened over the past 5 years, and things
to officially bless the facility. He will be escorted by the President of the Senate, the Honorable Chester Humphrey, and the Speaker of the House.
Very careful. There's a step down.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to stand right. Am I standing there? Good Lord. Oops. I'm sorry. Right Honorable Prime Minister, Right Honorable Prime Minister Keith Mitchell, other prime ministers, and excuse me if I mention particularly Dr. Keith Rowley, who must feel very much at home in the midst of all the Balizé around us. Today we come to bless this building, but I want to get one thing straight. I am not blessing the building. We pray that Almighty God will bless the building. And I want you to join me in that prayer. So let us stand. Gracious and ever-loving God, Creator of all that is, we thank you for this building, which you have empowered us to create as the people's house for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. We thank you for the freedom and wisdom on which this building will stand. We remember with gratitude the work of our elders from Mary Shorter Mitchell, on which our parliamentary democracy stands. We thank you especially for all those who have made this edifice possible, for those who chose this magnificent site, for those who designed the building, for all our generous benefactors who contributed in different ways, for those who supervised the work, and for the many, many ordinary citizens whose labor has brought this idea, this dream to fruition. As we bless this building today, we ask you to help us treasure it as a part of who we are. May every Grenadian entering it rejoice in our national identity and confirm their place in the unfolding of our national purpose. May we care for this building as we would care for a common home. May we challenge our leaders to always properly maintain this edifice with care and foresight. May all of us, from Speaker of the House and President of the Senate to cleaner and security guard, be so diligent in our duty that all will be proud to acclaim this place as our house in which our business is well done to the glory of your name and the eternal benefit of the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. And so, gracious God, we ask you to stretch out your right hand over this place, to be in its ceilings and its floors, to banish from it all trace of evil, and appoint your holy angel as its guardian, so that all who work here may work in genuine fellowship, and all who come here may come with peace and pride. Bless us all, and bless this building to the glory of your name, you who are Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. We will now go into the building, and I will sprinkle parts of the building with holy water. The water is a symbol of two things, of purification and also of growth, because without water, nothing grows. And so we ask God to purify this place and then to allow it to grow into what we want it to be, but what God wants it to be above all else. I will not bless the exterior because, as you know only too well, God has already done his own work.
Okay, so that's the Lordship, His Lordship, the Bishop of St. George, blessing the building there, and there he is, blessing the building, accompanied by the President of the Senate and, of course, the Speaker of the House of Representatives as they make the way around the building. Now, after the blessing, we'll have the members of both houses, upper and lower, Senate and House of Representatives. They'll enter the chamber and strangers are invited to take their seats. I think that the parliamentary term used to describe the members of the House, strangers. The presiding officers and the clerks at the table will be robed and they will await the arrival of the Governor General. So Her Excellency Dame Cecile La Grenade is not yet on site and she'll be arriving.
Well, it's a wonderful sight to behold inside of the building itself. The chamber, as you just mentioned, it's just something new, something really nice for us to have here in Grenada as part of our parliament building. I mean, we see these things on television, and it's good that we can actually have it in real life here in Grenada.
Right. Now I know this is state of the art. This is really the architecture and everything you were referencing that earlier on, and I know you visited this. You've been through the different areas. It's well equipped. You can actually touch on some of the areas as the Bishop, His Lordship, makes his way through the different rooms and offices.
Well, of course, some of the areas that are featured at our new Parliament building is the entry forecourt when you just enter. Then there will also be a public cafe and souvenir shops. So probably the souvenir shops will be for when our visiting delegates come from other countries. Maybe they can buy something, a basket of spice or something. It's something to go back with. They don't necessarily have to, go elsewhere to get that.
So they're now entering the chamber there. This is the chamber. This is what the inside looks like. This is the parliament. The inside of the parliament, we're now seeing the members entering the parliament as the blessing continues. Right? You were mentioning some of the features there, Wendy?
Yes, also there is the MP's meeting room. You will also have dining room and a kitchenette, of course, and the registry is also going to be there. Archives, parliamentary library, Hansard officers room, also going to be there. There's also a compact computer server room. I mean, it's properly equipped.
Right. Okay, so basically, this is quite an impressive building. Very, very impressive. Very well equipped, state of the art. Different offices, different rooms. Office for the leader of government business. Office
There's also a room for leader of the opposition.
Yes, and that's pretty. And over the years, the leader of the opposition, officially you rent somewhere for him, but now he will occupy a place in the parliament building. So it looks pretty impressive from here. We're looking at the inside of the chamber. Members are taking
a few persons were asking this morning, are we going to have enough seating? That was one of the concerns. Are we going to have enough seating at Parliament building for the amount of persons who want to attend?
Okay, so what we're going to be having too is a joint sitting of Parliament. A proclamation will be read. The Clerk of Parliament will read a proclamation. So that's going to be happening momentarily. So members, the presiding officer, the clerk, and I think they're now awaiting the arrival of the Governor General. Because Her Excellency will be accorded a royal salute, and she will also inspect the Guard of Honor, and that's Dame Cecile La Grenade. She'll be received by the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the clerk at the table. And of course, I think she will also address the Parliament, and there'll be the reading of a proclamation by the Clerk of Parliament. So we're into, I don't think there's going to be a sitting per se in terms of bills being passed and
I don't think
not today.
This is not for today.
Not for today.
This is more on a lighter note.
Definitely not for today. I think what we've seen more ceremonial,
right.
And so on. So the members getting used to the new facility, and so on. I can't help but continue to express what an impressive building it is. I mean, I'm not into archaeology and design, but trust me, as a layman, you know a beautiful thing when you see it.
Even the design of the chamber, the architects are actually saying too that they try to design it almost close to our nutmeg.
Right. Okay. And to what extent was the whole issue of climate and the green, the issue of climate would be taken into consideration? I could imagine that would have been a consideration as well.
Definitely, the whole making up of that building was definitely designed to resist the whole aspect of climate change that is affecting our region in recent times.
So I would imagine that, of course, would have been a major consideration, given the fact that 13, 14 years ago, our Parliament, York House, was damaged / destroyed as a result of hurricane, which we know is a manifestation of the climate change that has been taking place over the years. A lot of those hurricanes, now we saw Dominica with two super hurricanes, on a whole, swinging through the region last year. A lot of islands got affected. It's a big issue. It's a big issue now. Even more, Dominica has taken up the lead in the region too, and in terms of pushing this. And our Prime Minister, as chairman, when he was chairman of CARICOM and as chair of the Small Island Development State, he has been campaigning on the international front for climate change money for the region, to attach climate change money to development and so on, and to remove the restriction that the donor countries and international institutions will place on soft funding and funding for small island development states. You know, they sort of peg it towards development and so on, and what they're saying is that they ought not to have done that, and so on. So I think there's some voice coming from there, so let's take in the audio. All right, so you're watching a live broadcast of the opening of the new Grenada Parliament in Mount Welldale, St. George's. The opening of the new Grenada Parliament, broadcasting live on GIS and of course MTV and other stations and internet platforms, social media, everywhere. You're monitoring us, Grenada, Carriacou, Petite Martinique, the rest of the Caribbean, and our folks in the diaspora as well. It's happening right here in Grenada, coinciding with the new administration's 100 days in office, a high point moment with the opening of the highest institution in the land, the country's parliament, the parliament upper and lower house. And now the parliamentarians rise as his lordship enters, flanked by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, flanked by the Speaker of the House, the Senate, the President of the Senate as well.
They're doing some blessing. Yes, his lordship.
Let the warmth of presence fill. And so, gracious God, in your name, we bless this chamber for the work of your people. We pray that everyone who enters it may learn how to forget self and work towards the common good. May everyone who speaks in this chamber be aware that in his or her very speaking, they say something about themselves, but also speak not only to their colleagues in this chamber, but to this whole nation, all its people, far and wide, from Grand Anse to Grand Etang to Sauteurs. Be a place in which the fundamental intelligence of Grenada is displayed and ever secure. and guide the presiding officers so that they may exercise their authority in such a way that everyone who becomes a part of this chamber may find themselves enriched and enhanced as a human being simply because they sat here. And so, gracious God, we ask you to bless this chamber. We bless it in your name, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Madam Cabinet Secretary. Folks, grab some for you. Where do I go to now? You see the entrance? Yeah. My privilege. We meet again, I'm sure. Yes, sure. Yes. Forget that mistake.
As well.
This one, Mr. President, one time, this is time thing. Yeah, we wasting no time.
Okay, so we've just seen the Bishop Harvey, an enthusiastic Bishop Harvey, moving around the chamber and carrying out the blessing and the joint sitting of the Parliament here, the upper and lower house. As we now look at the camera shot, an outside camera shot.
Persons are still trickling on the inside of the Parliament building to witness today's proceeding.
Right, so what is happening now, there might be a slight delay because they will be coordinating the Governor General's arrival. Because that is what normally happens. The Governor General is on her way and she will arrive this is the point in time when she is expected to arrive any moment now, and when she arrives, of course, she will be met by the presiding officers and the clerk at the table. There will be a robe and they are awaiting the arrival of the Governor General. So that's the point we're at now. We've had the blessing of the chamber, the upper and lower house of Parliament, the Senate being the upper house, the House of Representatives being the lower house in a joint sitting, and now they were all waiting on the arrival of the Governor General. The Royal Grenada Police Band strikes up some music now, and maybe we can get some of that audio across.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're in a period of waiting. Momentarily, Governor General will arrive. At this time in the inner chamber, all parliamentarians are sit and waiting. The President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House will join us in the outer corridors to await and welcome the arrival of our Governor General, Dame Cecile La Grenade.
Right, so we're back. We've just seen we'll heard some music from the Royal Grenada Police Force and seeing their members go into formation as they await the arrival of Her Excellency the Governor General Dame Cecile La Grenade, because on her arrival she's going to inspect a guard of honor before heading into the chamber. So that's the point we are at now. You know, with the new parliament, of course, the media being, you know, part of the whole reporting in terms of parliament as well. I would imagine there will be a facility accommodating media.
Definitely. There is a press gallery, and we were there this morning, and it's quite impressive. It's quite clear. You can see, very visual. There's also a control room where broadcasting will be taking place from media, whether it's audio or visual or whatever. It's been done from that location, and it's quite accommodative.
Right. So
there's also a conference room up there as well.
Yes, the committee who has planned this event has been meeting in the conference room actually on a daily basis, planning this particular event. Of course, the Hansard and the Hansard production room, Hansard, because, you know, the Hansard, of course, has to do with the recording of all the happenings inside the parliament. Right. So
we're still awaiting the arrival of Her Excellency.
Yeah. I think it looks like the weather has held a bit now, because this morning,
it was pouring.
Yesterday afternoon, this morning, late into the evening, early this morning, we had some showers.
Heavy ones.
And there's a fear that that might just, you know, dampen things here. But I think it's held up a bit. Yeah, it has held up a bit. Hope it remains that way for the duration of the proceedings. And I know members of the public in general, we're not really seeing crowd shots, but I know they will be looking forward to seeing the inside of the parliament at some point in time. It was a logistical nightmare in terms of coordinating that aspect of it, in terms of at what point do you allow the people who come, the members, the people, to sort of, you know, tour the facility. I think that was a major discussion point, but the bottom line is they will be allowed at some point to see the parliament itself, because at the end of the day, the language is that it's the people's parliament.
Yeah. And also, Ron, we have quite a lot of folks in the diaspora who are actually being part of today's proceeding wherever they are. I mean, some of them, I've spoken to some of them in the UK, and they're saying they're home away from home.
Right.
And they're feeling that sort of prestige, just looking at the outside, just that glimpse of what our new parliament building looks like.
Well, I can tell you, this is a special moment as well for our Grenadians, cousins and uncles and brothers and sisters in the diaspora, because whenever they see things like that, it's a pride moment for them. I can tell you that for sure. When you live outside there and you see these special moments, the Grenadians come together. Forget about color, forget about race, forget about class. Just think Grenadian, a national event. Carnival, Independence, this event, the opening of the stadium, I don't know, other major national events, and you could be in the corner of, I don't know, Nottingham, or you could be somewhere up in the corner of New York or Brooklyn, or somewhere across the Canadian border, wherever you are in Europe or Germany and Grenada, and you switch on social media, because the technology now allows it to happen. So you switch on your iPhone or your tablet or whatever, and then you see this happening. There is none other than a proud moment. I know lots of Grenadians, especially carnival time, they get together in, you know, in one of their friends' homes with drinks and food, and they monitor carnival. Those who can't come. for the carnival. So this means we cannot take these things for granted. It means we see it as some ceremony here, but it means a lot to a Grenadian, might be somewhere in Baghdad right now monitoring.
Yeah, it's also one way of saying events like these bring out the Grenadianism in all of us.
Oh yes, yes, because this is something to be
we
proud.
all want to be part of, this history
This is
making.
a proud moment. This is a beautiful parliament. It's where the laws will be created, laws will be passed, laws, our business. It affects all of us, and we have to say that it has to be in our interest. So this is the core of where things Grenadian happen, and so we all can identify and we all can associate with this. So there we are now. The guard of honor awaits the Governor General, and I would imagine she would be well on her way. She would be given a cue to move in. So she will be here any moment now as we monitor this proceedings live on GIS, a national station, as well as on social media. A day here that is
a moment in history.
A moment in history, indeed.
Moment in history. It's a day we need to record.
In history, you put that in the archives.
I mean, after 14 years, 13 to 14 years, rather. I mean, this is such a wonderful moment.
Right.
I mean, and it's just timely because we're right now into the hurricane season again.
So the children who would have been born just after Hurricane Ivan, let's say in the months after Hurricane Ivan, all those Grenadian children now would be about 14 years or so.
Teenagers.
And they would have experienced, let's say, the rebirth of Grenada in the post-Ivan era, in terms of all that we had to do to recover economically, socially, politically, and in terms of our structures, our institutions, and so on. These children who would be 14, roughly 14 years now, they're seeing a new parliament, and they will have to learn to appreciate this and also appreciate our history and our history before Hurricane Ivan.
Rod, when we got up there this morning, one lady said, today feels like if it's Independence Day.
Because,
the patriotism, you feel that.
Independence is like the pinnacle of patriotism. When you get that Grenadian, you want a good oil down.
Right.
And today feels like that because everybody is out really, and who aren't here are monitoring on television.
And like you really said a while ago, this is not about any other thing, race, creed, color, whatever. It's about our national interest, our national love for country. Because at this moment, it's a sigh of relief for us as Grenadians and also parliamentarians in terms of the hassle having to go to the trade center. I mean, this is just the right setting, the right ambience for us to house.
I think they're going to look forward to coming here. I mean, they're going to be here early. If Parliament starts at 9,
they're going to be about 7:30.
I guess they're going to be here by about 8.
Just to enjoy the seats.
Enjoy the seats, the scenery, the atmosphere.
And all the parliamentarians' names are on their desk.
Right. So everybody's
name is engraved in the block on their desk. So
this is lovely. It is also equipped with the production facilities as well.
It is.
Cameras and
built-in
broadcast technology built into this facility here. So we have to be thankful, and this is why bilateral comes in, and us as Grenadian being friends with countries for our own interests, and we can't have any fear. And we have to commend the Prime Minister of Grenada when he blazed the trail a few years ago. Everybody was afraid to go to Cuba. Everybody was afraid to go to Cuba. Every Prime Minister in the region, because they were fearful of backlash from America and whatever. And Dr. Keith Mitchell went and blazed the trail, headed to Cuba, and then everybody started going. I'm saying this to say bilaterals are important. We cannot compromise on that for fear of other countries. If we have relations with China, and China is working in Grenada's interest, that is what it is. If we have relations with Australia, that has helped us and contributed in this case, I guess in other cases as well, but in this particular case regarding this new parliament, Mexico has done, United Arab Emirates, you have bilaterals with these countries, you have to do this in your own interest, your diplomats, your government officials and so on. Bilateral is a major part of foreign policy in this new dispensation, and so you cannot be fearful you know, because some of the big countries, they have their friends and so on, and they decide who their friends are. You know,
Definitely.
you see Donald Trump edging up to
Kim Jong-un
North Korea
Kim
these
Jong-un.
days. Some persons will
Well,
throw
that's my
will,
friend,
will throw
yeah.
on this. Donald Trump is your friend.
No, Kim,
Oh,
Kim Jong-un.
Kim is your friend.
Yeah, I love Kim.
Well, don't say that too loudly now.
Okay, be careful.
Yeah, so just making a point though.
Also, to the architects, two of those are Brian Bullen, and I was just trying to remember the other one's name. But I think they have character roots. You know, you must bring in character.
Okay, well, feel free. Yes.
Yeah.
So they two of the architects, Grenadians,
Yes.
that played that role. And remember, we did some features at GIS. We did some quite a few features on this new parliament. We were
From
there.
Foundation.
We were there from Foundation. Did a feature on the whole concept and so on. And then when it started to develop, we went back and so on to report on the progress and so on. We had our aerial drone shots and everything like that.
Right.
So to commend the GIS team as well, they did some good work
Definitely.
on feature and explaining what is going on here and reporting it to the nation in the public interest.
And Ron, since you're older than me, you may be able to remind persons of what building used to be there before. The governor.
Well, I don't have to be older than you to remind person of that, but I think this is the A Mount Wendell. Is that the home? Well, actually, not the exact location, but not far from there is the home of the Governor General, where it used to be.
Right.
Right. Not too far from there. I don't know what's happening there now. If that's
They're
the site of
probably-
the reconstruction, because I know that's on the agenda. The official residence of the Governor General. I know Sir Paul Schoon, the late Sir Paul Schoon, he officially resided there.
I could clearly remember
R.O.
too.
Palmer.
Like I just said to you, you're older than me, but just recollecting, I actually was in Girl Guides back in the days at convent when we went. Here comes the arrival of Her Excellency.
Yes, there is Her Excellency, the Governor General, Dame Cecile Lagrenade, flanked by the Commissioner of Police, and she positions herself to inspect the guard.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the platoon is informing the Governor General of its content and will also extend an invitation for inspection. Once she consents, she will descend, saluting gas, and inspect the guard hall. She has so consented, and the inspection takes place. Governor General will now descend, saluting dais, and will be received by the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, the Clerk of Parliament, and the team. She will then be invited to unveil a plaque on the outer wall. She is accompanied by the President of the Senate.
Right, so we've just seen His Her Excellency Dame Cecilia Grenade inspecting that guard of honor that has been mounted for her. And now we've seen she's also being received by the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the clerks. And now I think the presiding officers will escort her. They should be about escorting her to unveil the plaque, which will be witnessed by the Prime Minister and the representatives of Mexico and the United Arab Emirates. So I hope we can get a shot of that, although we didn't quite get a full shot of it when the Prime Minister was unveiling it. But that's what's about to happen now. Because there are two plaques there. The Prime Minister unveiled the first one, and Her Excellency will be unveiling that second plaque. So we'll see if we can get a shot of it actually happening now. But that's the next item on the agenda. And this is even before. Okay, so there we are now, and that's a better shot. That's a better shot now. That's a better shot of the plaque being unveiled. That it has been done
already.
So we actually missed the happening of it. But that's it there, the second plaque being unveiled.
If only we can see
Her Excellency, a tall figure she is.
Definitely.
And she now
elegantly dressed
away,
as usual.
Elegantly attired. Yes.
Like she's ready for Buckingham Palace.
Yes, I can tell you her tailor is
doing a great job.
Is doing a great job. Her tailor is Jamaican.
Really?
Yes, I had the opportunity to do a run for her when I was going to Jamaica with her items to her tailor in Jamaica. So she is elegantly attired as she moves there now, waving for the audience, for persons she would recognize. And she does that. Once she recognizes you, she'll stop and have a word or two, and so on. So very approachable, very polite. So right now, what is happening? So the second plaque has been unveiled, and the presiding officers are escorting Her Excellency. Now, she after unveiling the plaque, she is now escorted into the building by the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, where she is going to sign the Distinguished Visitors Book. Now, there's a room in there. There's so many rooms in there, and she's going to sign the Visitors Book, I guess, before she enters the chamber. So that's what's happening at this point in time, and I know there's a camera in the chamber, so when she enters the chamber, we're gonna have a view of her and what she's doing. But at the moment, no, I don't think there's a mobile camera that can follow her
not arrived yet.
into that particular room where she's signing the visitor's book. But this is the item on the agenda that's happening now. She should be at this point in time, as we speak, signing the visitor's book.
And of course, Raul, we must also give kudos to our Royal Grenada Police Force officers. They've been doing a great job, and of course this morning they were smartly dressed for the occasion, you know, bringing that military kind of look to the event, that ceremonial look.
Well, we always look forward to what Royal Grenada Police Force Band has to perform, and whether it's music or whether it's the military, the marching and so on, they always give us something special, especially on Independence Day. We look forward to the military theatrics, if I may use that word very casually, and so they're very serious, very well trained, and we look forward to their presentation. The music also, that Royal Grenada Police Band is an institution in Grenada. They have their Christmas special. Oh yes, they are an institution, and there are people who contributed to it being where it is today. You know, I can call a few names, but I don't want to start calling names.
People are going to feel left out.
Yeah, but it's an institution in the land, our Royal Grenada Police Force Orchestra. The police force itself, in terms of their displays and their portrayals and what they've offered to the public. Everybody looks forward towards a good military parade. And they've always come up trumps on occasions.
They've
like
never
these.
failed.
They've never failed us. So we have to give them kudos.
And it's also good to see that they have the younger ones falling in place, like the cadets.
Oh yes.
And so forth. They're also there this morning and being part and looking on to what the senior team has, especially like the Royal Grenada Police Force. So some of them, at the end of the secondary year era, they would want to move on to being a police officer.
Yes, the Cadet Corps was revived a few years ago, and it has been kept alive since, because there's some good memories of the Cadet Corps back in the day and the role it played in developing young people. And so it was felt that we need the Cadet Corps back. So it was revived, and it seems to have been going good in terms of who is leading it and who is keeping it going as a force to help develop young people. All right, I think the chairman must be making some in-house announcements there, informing persons of what exactly is happening, and what's next. But at the moment, we're monitoring the proceedings on our screens here, and we don't have the camera to the chamber on as yet, so we don't think the Governor General is in the chamber as yet. We still think at this point she's in the building at that particular office where she has to sign the visitor's book, because after that then she move into the chamber. Right, so we have a camera shot of the chamber now, so any moment now we expect the Governor General to arrive. The members of the House are there, and beautifully attired they are, the ladies with their,
as usual,
with their well dressed in their hat. I mean, they look beautiful with that. I love to see I love to see those
it's always a British look.
Some of them posted some pictures online, you know, and it really looked nice. The ladies with their hat and so on, all beautifully dressed. Now I see the door to the chambers open. The members in the House stand, so we know for sure that signals the arrival of Her Excellency Dale Cecile La Grenade. You see the president, the tall figure of the president of the Senate, moving towards the door there, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, accompanied by the clerks of the table, entering the chamber. They're going to be taking their seats, preceded by the Sergeant at Arms bearing the mace. The maces, and that's the traditional. Here they come, Sergeant at Arms bearing the maces.
Be seated.
Whereas it is provided by subsection 1 of section 51 of the Constitution of Grenada that each session of Parliament shall be held at such place within Grenada as the Governor General may be by proclamation appoint, and whereas historically the Parliament Chamber at York House in the town of St. George was appointed as a place where each session of Parliament was to be held, and whereas due to the passage of Hurricane Ivan through Grenada on the 7th day of September 2004, the Parliament Chamber at York House was rendered unsuitable for the continuation of the first session of the 7th Parliament. And whereas by proclamation dated 20th day of October 2004, the Bell Lecture Hall on the campus of the St. George's University, situated at Trublu in the parish of St. George, was duly appointed as a place where the first session of the 7th Parliament would be formed, thenceforth held, and whereas by proclamation dated 2nd day of March 2005, the Trade Center, situated at Montrouge in the parish of St. George, was duly appointed as the place where the second session of the 7th Parliament was to be held, and was duly appointed as such for each subsequent session of Parliament. And whereas by proclamation dated 19th day of April 2018, the Trade Center was duly appointed as the place where the first session of the 10th Parliament shall be held, and whereas the Parliament building at Mount Weldale in the town of St. George was constructed during the period 2013 to 2018 and is now suitable as a place for sessions of Parliament to be held. Now, the Governor General, Dame Cecile Lagrenade, Dame Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Governor General in and over Grenada, do hereby appoint the Parliament building at Mount Weldale in the town of St. George as a place where the first session of the 10th Parliament shall from this 21st day of June 2018 thenceforth be held. And members of the said Parliament and all Her Majesty's officers and loving subjects in Grenada and all others who it may concern are hereby required to take due notice hereof and give the ready obedience accordingly. Given under the Governor General's hand and public seal of Grenada, this 12th day of June 2018, in the 66th year of the reign of Her Majesty the Queen, Elizabeth II. God save the Queen.
Members of this honorable houses, please stand and let us pray. Guide, we beseech thee, Almighty God, members of this houses, that they may wisely deliberate for the good of the country and for the glory of thy holy name. Please join with me as we say together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Pray, be seated.
Is it your wish, honorable members, that the houses do now adjourn during pleasure to await the arrival of Her Excellency, the Governor General? All those who have that opinion, say aye. To the contrary opinion, say nay. I think the ayes have it. The ayes do indeed have it. This House now stands adjourned to await Her Excellency.
At this moment, Parliament is now stayed for a photo moment, so all the members like the photo of the members in the chambers can do so now. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, today marks a special historic moment for our nation. All Grenadians throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique must be exceedingly proud. Some may have not thought that this day would come, but with the generous support of friendly governments, an important symbol of our democracy has been restored. The long days of despair are ended. This is a day of celebration, a day of gratitude. The primacy of Parliament regains supreme. In 2004, our vulnerability to natural disasters became evident. 90% of our physical infrastructure was destroyed in a matter of hours. Our historical buildings were not spared, and on September the 8th, 2004, we woke up to scenes of devastation and destruction, and York House, the home of our Parliament since the year 1807, lay in ruins. However, our belief in and commitment to parliamentary democracy was resolute and bolstered the vision to create a permanent home for our nation's parliament. The governments of the United Mexican States, the United Arab Emirates, and the Commonwealth of Australia readily came to our assistance and provided the much-needed funding for this momentous undertaking. We are truly grateful for the generous assistance given to our nation by these countries, as without it, we would not be sitting here today in this magnificent structure. The courage, will, and determination to undertake the construction of this building is living testimony to the great importance attached to our democratic system of government. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, members of Parliament, the construction of this Parliament building was truly a mammoth Grenadian undertaking with international input. the chief engineer of the contracting company, Quinn and Company, traveled to the People's Republic of China to ensure that the steel frame, which had been ordered, was well on the way to completion and ready to be shipped. The hurricane-proof aluminum windows came from Colombia, and the beautiful teak woodwork covering the walls came from neighboring Trinidad and Tobago. The marble stucco cladding, made from finely chiseled marble, adorning sections of the outer and inner walls of the building, adding to its magical sparkle and beauty, was sourced in the United States of America. It seems like the whole world was involved in this project and was as anxious as we were to see Grenada's parliament proudly erected again. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, members of parliament, I have many fond memories of visits to the site of this building during the construction phase and of chatting with the construction workers and tradesmen and women as they diligently performed their assigned task. Having worked on this project and now seeing it to come to a glorious conclusion, many of them will experience a feeling of joy tinged with nostalgia. From this hilltop in Mount Weldale, I am sure many of the skilled and talented construction workers had their eyes set on working on the restoration of a nearby building. Congratulations to our gifted architects, Brian and Trevor Bullin of COCO, who ensured that once inside the curved chamber, one would feel like nutmegs nestled within the pericarp halves, a truly pure Grenada spice of the Caribbean feeling. Congratulations also to the main contractor, Quinn and Company, and its team of hard-working construction workers and tradesmen and women and subcontractors who worked tirelessly to make our nation's parliament building the magnificent structure it has turned out to be. The coat of arms on the wall behind me is the work of a talented French artist, Miss Geraldine Lanek, who has made Grenada her home. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, members of Parliament, I proudly recall that my grandmother, Eva Oliver Sylvester, was the first woman to be elected to the Legislative Council in Grenada in 1952. Therefore, it would be remiss of me not to mention how I am delighted today by the representation in both our Houses of Parliament of strong, talented, patriotic, and dedicated women of our country. Our Parliament records the largest number of women than at any other time in our history. As a nation, we have much to celebrate. Grenada's Parliament now has a permanent home, a magnificent modern facility, a true sanctuary where gender balance is evident, where high values are expected to be upheld, individuals respected, our forefathers remembered, history recalled, ideals revered, and memories treasured. A home where the pressing issues affecting our nation will be discussed and debated with the highest level of dignity and candor. A place where fair administration of matters and wise legislation will be produced by all who assemble and work here, ensuring the orderly development and national security of our nation. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, members of Parliament, let the quality of your debates be as high a standard and as true a reflection of this magnificent, imposing structure, sitting on the hilltop of Mount Weldale, as a citadel overlooking the lagoon of our picturesque capital, with an exterior that bears a striking resemblance to the Parthenon in Athens, the birthplace of world democracy, and an interior reminiscent of our prized and highly valued nutmeg. It is indeed a phoenix rising from the ashes. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, let the tenor of your debates reflect the magnificence of these textured teak and marble walls and fill us with hope for our future. Finally, I wish to implore all Grenadians to cherish this new Parliament building, to protect and preserve it, so that it would last for several generations of parliamentarians to come. May God bless you, and may God bless Grenada. I thank you.
Honourable members, I now invite the parliamentary representative for St. Andrews from St. George, North East, and Prime Minister of Grenada, North West. St. George, North West, and Prime Minister of Grenada to make brief remarks.
Excellency, Dale Lagranado, President of the Senate, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Members of Parliament all, ladies and gentlemen, and Prime Minister colleagues who are here. This to me is a very special day in every respect. It's a day that I believe that all Grenadians who are here with us and who are at home watching will feel proud the way we have, in fact, this building that we have now constructed will become the home for the Parliament of this country. I feel honored to be the Prime Minister of this country at this time, recognizing the responsibility that I hold and the rest of us in this Parliament hold. And Excellency, and all of us here, I hold this dearly and look forward to maintaining the dignity and standards of those who have gone before us and those who will be coming afterwards. We hold this dearly. I wish all of us in this honorable house conduct ourselves in a way that we will continue to show the future generation that this country is indeed a proud nation. Thank you all and wish you all the best for the future. Thank you.
Of the Senate, I now do hereby invite Honorable Simon Steele for some remarks in response to the Prime Minister's address.
Her Excellency Cecile Le Grenade, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, members of Parliament. Today is truly a historic occasion and a day that should make every Grenadian, Carriacouan, and Petit Martinican proud. Bishop Harvey stated in his address earlier today that this Parliament building is more than just a physical structure. It is a symbol of our vibrant democracy, a symbol of Grenada's transition from colonialism to independence, the symbol of who we are as a country and as a people, a symbol of our national development, what we have achieved, all that we have achieved since independence and the massive strides we have made moving forward. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, The voices that will be heard in this chamber are the voices of all Grenadians and represents the dreams and aspirations of all. It's an incredible honor to be called to serve this great nation of ours, regardless of where our sittings were held, whether in York House, whether at the Trade Center. It is an honor, but to serve in this incredible new building adds a new dimension to this experience. So on behalf of all of my colleague senators, we wish to congratulate all who have contributed to this great achievement. A visionary and a persistent and resilient government. A Grenadian, actually a kayak, who designed this world-class facility, Brian Bullock. All of the Grenadians who have handcrafted this incredible building, and of course, the support of the international community. So, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, colleague members of Parliament, each of us on this side commits to continuing to serve this honorable chamber to the best of our abilities. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Senator, the Honorable Christie.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, we beg to second the motion and to associate ourselves with the speeches given.
Thank you. Honorable members, considered is that the Houses of Parliament now adjourn sine die. Those who have that opinion say aye. To the contrary opinion say nay. I think the ayes have it. The ayes do have it. Honorable members, the Houses now stand adjourned.
Right, so the joint sitting of the Parliament has been adjourned, and this is where we are. The Governor General, I think she would have left already. She has left the chamber, I think. And now we're going to witness the procession out of the chamber.
Departure out of the chamber. Also, Raul, it is quite nice to see former Prime Minister of Grenada, Tillman Thomas, in the building.
Uncle Tilly's in the
building. Uncle Tilly's inside. It's nice to see him there. Once again, we just want to remind persons of what we're looking at here today. Is the official opening and handing over and ceremony of our most prestigious
new
Parliament building. It's a sight to behold. If you have not been there yet, you need to take a ride down there.
Leader of government business in the upper house, Senator Simon Steele, was a proud man when he did his presentation a few minutes ago, just after the Prime Minister, to proclaim and remind us, as you did earlier, Wendy, that the guy who designed the building
is a kayak.
Is a kayak.
Is a kayak. There's something special about kayaks.
All right.
Something special about. I mean, look at our Honorable Prime Minister there. Of course, it's a very, very prestigious day for him today. This is one of his baby.
Yes.
This project.
Now, next to former Prime Minister Tillman Thomas is the former
Governor General, so Danny Williams.
There. So we take note of that as well.
Right, and everybody is exiting the chamber at this moment. I think it's time to refresh themselves.
Yes, they have catering for the officials. They also have catering for visitors as well. So they're basically provided for everybody here who would have attended. And then, as we mentioned earlier, there will be an opportunity for persons to also walk around and tour the facility. There are people set up in different locations to you see, like what you were doing earlier on, where you were breaking it down to our audience, telling them what is this,
the various aspects of the building.
Well, this is going to happen. So for the person who the ordinary Grenadian who visited, they will be given a tour of the facility, and persons are set up at strategic location to explain, the areas to them.
And while we speak of the Parliament building as one way our business, our serious business, national business is going to be taking place, we can also safely say that this location will also serve as another historical site for Grenada, tourist attraction, and it would add to our tourism product for Grenada.
Yes, and based on what you see, the intention is, of course, now it will be interesting, the next sitting of the House, there's I think this is the U.S. Charge d'Affaires stepping across the screen. It will be nice to see the not just the sittings ahead, but also Budget Day. And of course, when there's the throne speech and so on. Now, the capacity is about roughly 200 in terms of ordinary persons sitting around the chamber and being allowed in.
Do you think that's a limited amount?
Well, yes, because you see, when a donor country is doing that, they're not going to build, there's no way a donor country will fund a parliament to accommodate 1,000 like a national stadium.
Right, yeah.
So it's all fair. So
they more look at it as an in-house business.
Yeah, 200 for the capacity, but then there's a big yard outside where you can set up tent and set up screens. So although 200 could be accommodated inside, thousands can actually be accommodated outside.
And I think today too was just a dry run as to how it can be done going forward.
Precisely. That's a good point. I think today you could look at it as a dress rehearsal in a way, so that when you have the big events like the budget and the throne speech and so on, then they already have a feel for how to run it. So this is good in many fronts.
Well, from where you sit, if you look at the design from your angle, what do you see depicted there?
Okay.
Let's see how.
What am I looking at? I'm looking at the shape.
The shape, yeah.
But something that looks like a nutmeg. Something that looks like a nutmeg.
And that's exactly what I was telling you before.
Okay.
The metallic material that they would have used to get that sort of shape, that sort of design. That's what the architects were talking about.
All right, so I think we reach a wrap-up stage. Folks will be milling about, and folks will get the opportunity to see the chamber officials. A lot of chatting will be taking place. Lots of prime ministers are here, officials are here, visitors are here, dignitaries are here, or parliamentarians, and we'll be mingling with members of the public. So all of that is happening now as we look at the chamber. Well, basically the empty chamber for now. So this is the situation, Wendy. Let's say thanks to all our viewers who tuned in and joined this special occasion. On behalf of everyone, have a good one.
It is said that education is the key to success. The Grenada Development Bank believes this to be the truth, hence the reason we have made it our prerogative to ensure that your key is in safe hands with us. We Here is how you can unlock your success with an education loan from the GDB. We offer you 3 loan options. We've got our regular student loan, our work-study student loan, and our special student loan. Our regular student loan is for persons who wish to pursue full-time tertiary level education. If you are a permanent employee who wish to study while continuing your employment, then our work-study loan is for you. Our special student loan is in collaboration with the government of Grenada, geared towards vulnerable persons who would like to pursue higher level education. Remember, you must have proof of admission from a recognized institution here at home or abroad. All our loans are 100% financing with interest rates as low as 5%. Get your funding from GDB today for your tertiary level education, your technical training or vocational training, even professional development, with up to 12 years to repay. Your future success is today. Grab it now.
New Parliament building opens on Thursday, coinciding with government's 100 days in office. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the National Report, I am Leslie Ann Johnson. Grenada's new Parliament building will be opened on Thursday, a significant milestone for government in its first 100 days in office following its landslide victory in the March 13th general elections. Officials from UNOPS, the United Arab Emirates and Mexico, all instrumental in the construction of the state-of-the-art building, will attend the official opening ceremony, which will be broadcast live on the Government Information Service. A number of regional leaders will also attend the opening of the multi-million-dollar Parliament building at Mount Weldale, and the feature address will be delivered by Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, who has just returned from the 65th meeting of the OECS Authority in St. Lucia.
I am looking forward to opening our Parliament building, which is one of the accomplishments of this administration, and asking you all to come and look at what, in my opinion, and I believe in yours as well, is one of the best Parliament buildings in the CARICOM, if not the region. It's not just the newest, but it is one of the most beautiful buildings in one of the most beautiful locations in one of the most beautiful islands.
That was Minister for Health, Social Security and International Business, the Honourable Nicholas Steele. He was speaking with the media during the weekly post-cabinet briefing on Tuesday. Grenada has been identified as a best practice in the region for its work to identify risks at the national level. Chairman of the Integrity Commission, Mrs. Anande Trotman-Joseph, says they continue to engage in self-examinations, working with ministries, organizations and statutory bodies. She says important is the need for effective implementation of policies.
We are also investigating where support is needed by these ministries, by newer PSs, where systems have become complacent. And of course, this tells you that if we are going to achieve an effective anti-corruption system in Grenada, it requires prevention, preventative work. It requires working with the police, with the FIU, with the procurement department that has just been set up to re-look at how we have been tendering.
The Gifts Registry is one of the newest initiatives of the Office of the Integrity Commission. It is now preparing to share with public officials on the implementation of the registry.
What a gift registry means is that no public official here in Grenada can receive a gift that is valued more than 500 EC dollars without declaring it to the Accountants General's Office and to the Integrity Commission. A determination will be made if it is more than $500, whether that public officer can keep it. And we also have, of course, to be cognizant of, let's say, the diplomacy that sometimes, you know, some diplomats give gifts. That's what is a hallmark of diplomacy.
The mandate of the Office of the Integrity Commission is guided by legislation. Grenada ratified the OAS Convention Against Corruption in 2002 and the UN Convention Against Corruption in 2015. The commission focuses on areas like declaration and compliance, investigations and complaints, and public education. This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Celebrate National Nutrition Week, June 18th to 22nd. Join the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council as we raise awareness of the dangers of excess sugar in the diet and the health risks of childhood obesity. The theme, Too Much Sugar is Bad for Health. No ants in my camp. The week kicks off with an awareness walk at Guave, Monday the 18th. Tuesday the 19th, community walkabout in Victoria. Wednesday the 20th, dance exercise at Crowshoe RC School. Look out for St. George's Anglican School in action on Thursday the 21st at the Esplanade Mall. And Friday the 22nd, fast from added sugar. Calling young and old, join us in the fight against childhood obesity.
Continuing the news, Grenada is taking steps towards restoring and regenerating degraded coral reefs through a technological project called BioRock. The technology uses low voltage of electrical charges to enhance the growth of corals on man-made structures. BioRock also promotes rapid development and enhancement of marine ecosystems. The pilot project is being driven by Grencoda in Guave St. John, working with the Fisheries Division and the Guave Fishermen's Cooperation. Discussions for the introduction of the project started in 2016. The project will be implemented by Mr. Thomas Goro, president of the Global Coral Reef Alliance. He stressed the urgency in restoring coral reefs and the ecosystem.
What is going to happen in the next few generations, the next few years from global warming and global sea level rise, we haven't begun to feel it yet. Okay? And we've already lost most of the corals in the world due to global warming. Hardly anything left in most places. So it's a very serious situation. It's about to get much worse. We're not out there actively restoring it, otherwise we're going to lose it all.
Grenada has in the past experimented with ecosystem-based approaches to rectify the problems faced beneath the waters. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Climate Change, Resilience and Fisheries, Mrs. Marina Jessamy, says Grenada's marine ecosystem has great potential that, once developed, can add value to economic prosperity.
Grenada potential in the marine sector is 75 times larger than what we have on land. So any person, if you think about a long-term development, you must give the marine side an opportunity to develop. So where we have persons thinking about, yes, we need the teachers, yes, we need the lawyers, yes, we need the administrators, we must find a way to give Blue Economy something more than just where it is now. And for persons who are studying still, marine biology is a good option.
A training session was held on Tuesday for persons interested in the fabrication, installation and care of the BioRock. And finally, at 6 a.m., a 6 a.m. service at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception in St. George's will begin the annual Fisherman's Birthday activities on Friday. The morning's activities will include a procession from the church to the Melville Street Fish Market, where a brief ceremony in tribute to fisherfolk will be held. The celebration is important to the Guave community and by extension the country because there is a huge reliance on the industry for its livelihood and source of food. Member of the Guave Improvement Committee, Susan Jones, says one of the key objectives of this year's celebration is to educate the fisherfolk on how to utilize their finances effectively.
Tuesday coming, we have a financial and legal clinic. And this is the first time we're doing this, and we saw this as important because fishermen, they make a lot of money, like 10,000 sometimes for a weekend. And unfortunately, and sad to say, they don't have any savings, some of them. So we're trying to introduce that to help fishermen. Some people are not even registered with NIS. So, and you know, you have to plan for your retirement, you have to plan for the future with your children, you know, so we want to educate them. So we have lawyers and banks, financial institutions coming to help you know, educate them and help set up those who are not yet registered with NIS. NIS will be there, you know, helping them prepare for the future, helping to save their money, because they make a lot of money, you know, but how it is spent and what is saved, you know, it's not really a lot. So we have that that financial and legal clinic on Tuesday the 19th. So we're encouraging all fishermen to please come out and, you know, listen to what they have to say, so you'll be better planned and better prepared for the future and for your children, which is very, very important.
One day before the June 29th celebrations, a prize-giving ceremony for fisherfolk will be held at the Melville Street Fish Market Conference Room. And that's the National Report. I'm Leslie Ann Johnson.
After returning the country on a sound economic footing, the new National Party government began releasing a number of developmental projects across the country, some of which were done by investors, both local and foreign, under the Citizenship by Investment program. Sharia Noel visited some of these projects, updates us on the work done, and tells the story of those who have benefited.
The Keith Mitchell administration stormed back to government in February 2013, promising to revive an economy left battered by the previous administration. Dr. Mitchell's new National Party promised to attract local and foreign investment as part of an overall plan to return stability to the economy and cut skyrocketing unemployment. The task was indeed challenging. Foreign investment projects that came to Grenada over the past 5 years include the Silver Sands Grenada, a $65 million U.S. investment luxury hotel and private villas. General Manager Christian Langlade confirms that confidence in the new National Party administration is the reason behind this significant investment.
The main reason why we are here and our investors chose Grenada is the great support that was extended by the government. Everybody has been extremely thoughtful and attentive in helping us to settle, whether it is on a legal point of view, a social point of view. We have very close relationship with the educational system, both for young apprentice or whether it be TAMCC, even the private sector like the university, St. George's University, that have been extremely good help. So on all fronts we have been duly guided, and thanks to the constant support of Minister Steele and the cabinet members, the Minister of Tourism, we are being constantly guided and helped in our mission, and it's a joint effort that will definitely lead to a great success. So I'm not sure everybody fully appreciates the intensity of our project and where we are, what we are aiming at doing, but on the very short term it's 180 direct employments, very probably an additional 120, 150 subcontractors and suppliers. And obviously if things are going well, there's no reason why we should stop at this current investment, and would like to do more, because both we feel that the destination deserves for more and also has everything going for itself to increase again the size of the accommodations being offered and the caliber of operations.
Another of the major investments came through the Citizen by Investment program that aided in the expansion at Mount Cinnamon. Director of Savvy Grenada, Barry Colomo, explains.
We are going to double the size of our resort just based on Citizenship by Investment, and that speaks volumes. So you know, already we've had to employ more people because we have more rooms. Continue to offer high quality product which our customers expect. In terms of jobs, so all of these new suites and villas have to be built. So immediately there's construction jobs, but then there's sustainable direct jobs because you have a bigger resort, and there are there's more work for the ancillary services.
In the north of the island, Grenada has spent $4.6 million on the St. Patrick Breakwater project that employed some 30 people and returned the beachfront.
Perhaps the breakwater is the catalyst, will be the catalyst, because then there is access to the water up here, which at the moment there isn't. And so it will open up all sorts of opportunities up here, and I think all sorts of development will follow. So we are very excited about it.
The Olivera Nature and Beach Resort Tourism Development Project, also in the north of the island, has seen some $10 million invested to date.
They are primarily from the St. Patrick Parish. So we have River Sally, of course, Rose Hill, Satyrs. We also have from Tivoli, and there are also some persons from the St. Andrew Parish as well. So we're sticking more to the northern side of the island since our project is based here. Going forward, once the project is complete, obviously once we're up and running, there will be the opportunity for quite a few Grenadians to be employed. We would need restaurant staff, we would need our sanitary and cleaning staff, bar management, front desk and receptionist, housekeeping, landscaping and farming. So there'll be quite a lot of opportunities for persons to fully join and become part of our family going forward.
Another significant investment during the period under review is that of the redevelopment of what was known as Flamboyant Hotel. The new name is the Kempton Brandon Kiwana Bay, a 4.5-star international luxury beach resort overlooking one of the world's most pristine white sand beaches in Montrose, St. George, to the tune of $125 million. The Kiwana Bay project began in January 2016 and has created employment for over 60 people. Other major projects coming to the island, creating jobs and building the economy, includes the Clark's Court Bay Marina, that has invested $45 million to date, generating 35 permanent jobs. The Point at Pitti Calavini Resort, which began in 2016, presently employs 80 construction workers and is expected to have 50 permanent employees on completion. Hideaway True Blue, a $21 million condominium development, is also well underway. Also, the Keith Mitchell administration in the past 5 years has spent a significant sum on construction of bridges and road repairs throughout the state. Construction, which has expanded considerably, has played a major role in reviving the Grenada economy between 2013 and 2018. I am Sherry-Ann Noel.
Welcome back. Putting idle lands back into production. That's one of the major benefits being realized under the Cane Co investment project operating here in Grenada. The project have been bringing new meaning to the term cane production as they prepare for the manufacturing of Renegade rum in the next few years.
Since the government of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell assumed office in 2013, they have embarked on an agenda to encourage and promote business with local and foreign investors. This week's State of Affairs takes you to one of the projects, Cane Co, better known as Renegade Rum, where we bring you an update as to what has been happening.
About 2 years ago, Renegade Rum Distillery officially launched its operations here in Grenada, promising a product that's second to none when production begins. But to get to the point of producing an actual bottle of Renegade Rum, the agricultural arm of the company, Cane Co, has been putting in the groundwork by planting and producing cane for production. Since the launch, a nursery was set up in La Colombe, St. David, where the various strains of cane is being grown and distributed to other locations for planting. They have been operating for a year and 9 months.
And we are monitoring their progress as we go. And we want to see how they perform at different locations. Generally in Grenada, from previous soil tests that was done, the soil in Grenada is, especially along the coastal area, it's very good for sugarcane. We are getting excellent growth. In fact, it's way past what the study would have indicated.
To date, close to 100 acres of cane have been planted in various locations. The ultimate goal is to have about 600 acres of cane planted by mid-2019.
We have about 29, close to 30 acres at Bacala. That's where we are right now. We are cleaning, presently we're doing some cleaning on the other side, which may give us about another 15 to 20 acres. We have just about 35 acres at Riverantine, that's in St. Patrick. And we have the nursery, which is 14 acres at La Colombe. and we have another 25 acres at Hope in St. Andrews. Most of it, like I said, is along the better ideas of sugarcane.
The project is taking a careful and calculated approach to growing cane from the climate to the soil type and the terrain of the lands. It's certainly not business as usual, all to ensure a quality product that is rich in taste and texture. A survey was conducted prior to the launch of the company to find out if the country could handle a project of its magnitude. When the results were positive, an implementation survey was done as well as soil tests.
But we want to empower farmers. That's what I do in Scotland. That's what I do in Ireland. What we want to do is encourage farmers by making it worth their while to grow cane, showing them how to do it. We've got the machinery that we can use. We've got the varieties that we've cultivated over this last 3 years.
That is Mark Rainier, investor behind the Cane Co. and Renegade Rum Distillery project. He's in Grenada on one of his regular trips to check up on the project, make connections with local farmers and landowners. He is calling on persons to get on board. The cane will be provided and farmers or landowners will be compensated monetarily.
This whole project is a new look at growing cane. I'm not interested in how people have done it elsewhere. I'm not interested in what methods they use or whatever. We're looking at this completely fresh. So I don't want to be influenced by what other people do. So we're looking at it anew. So we've got 7 ideally suited varieties which we have tissue cultured. We've gone to those lengths. To make sure it's hygienic and it's clean, and so at least we're starting with that clean sheet.
Lands have already been leased in Hope, Bacolet and River Entwine, among others, bringing it back into cane production. It is not the company's objective to buy lands, but to work with farmers. One of the farmers who have come on board is Jeremiah from Plains St. Patrick. He owns acres of land and is working along with Cane Co. to bring it into cane production.
And when I heard about this Cane Co. company, I was kind of enthused, knowing that at least this land up here can be revived and put under heavy production with sugarcane. I saw something on the television, I think, Cane Co. company, and people have been talking about it, and I inquire. I know BJ very well. I called BJ and then I say, actually, I happened to call the right man because he was right in the heart of all things. So, and then he says he himself was actually happy I was actually getting involved in that level of agricultural production.
Some 60 persons have been employed to farm the ground, some of whom are gaining useful skills and experience on the job. State of Affairs heard their story.
Well, I've learned how to deal with the cane, how to handle the product properly. I've learned how to use a cutlass, which most of us don't know how to use. I've learned how to plant cane, like cover the cane, like use a fork and stuff. And I've learned how to deal with people in different moods and how to deal with the different weather changes.
I've learned how to plant it. There are a couple inches, you have to plant it a certain inches apart. The beds have to be a certain, about 18 centimeters or so apart. I can't remember the specific numbers right now. And then again, like I said, I've learned the type of disease that the cane can get. I've know what chemical, I've learned what chemical to treat it with. The growth of the cane, right? So I've learned that.
Yeah, the training would have been like on the job. There are a couple of them who had experience in cane before. There would be children of parents who had cane prior to the decline of the industry in Grenada. So some of them are back, and some new ones who would be exposed to cane for the very first time as a result of this project.
I'm very happy that your company, Cane Co., actually came to this land to get farmers like myself and to get other farmers involved. It's like a ray of hope and a ray of light that has been shown up in Grenada one more time, where the place can be put under heavy agricultural production with respect to cane.
All this fuss about locations, strains of cane, climatic conditions, soil type, and handling of the cane is to ensure a premium product, one that will sit amongst the best on the world market.
Now, this isn't sort of bush rum we're doing. We're challenging the top spirits of the world. I say to our guys, it's single malt rum. We're going, right to the top. And this will be, I sincerely hope, around the world in all the best places.
All the workers involved are pleased to be part of the CaneCo project and are already testifying of the immense benefits it has and will continue to bring to the country.
It's something new that's come on stream here like just a year ago. So I feel excited about it because as a young individual, it is something not everybody or every young person would want to get involved in. I believe that it would be beneficial to the country, even though it is owned by foreign investors. But there are Grenadians or a particular Grenadian who is a shareholder in the business, and it produces a form of employment to some people. And we learn different things as workers. Some of us may not have known different varieties of cane or how to handle cane. So I believe it's a good one for Grenada.
Out of Grenada, I think it's a very great idea. It generates employment, and it boosts the agriculture sector. Also, it boosts the economy. Right? Agriculture was kind of down, being only just nutmeg and cocoa. Cane has kind of gone out of existence for a number of years. So bringing it back, it's a really great idea.
Reporting from Hope, I am Abigail McIntyre for State of Affairs.
Inmates at Her Majesty's Prison is finding hope behind bars as they are learning valuable skills and receiving training that will equip them to live productive lives when reintegrated into society. All of this in an effort by the authorities to reduce incidences of repeat offenders. Wendy Edmond has more.
As an inmate here, I have learned quite a lot. I've seen things that one would have not really able to decipher outside of the prison. I think generally prisoners, they spend the time, and some of them are well rehabilitated while others may not be inclined to do so, because there are other programs need to be put in place, and so in terms of avoiding that kind of behavioral pattern, and so to repeat their time in the prison, But for internally the prison itself, I would say that they have some good programs. I think management is striving for betterment, and it's tough. It's not easy to run a prison.
There are a lot of different things you can do here, like we will be able to work the oven, mix flour, and it could help you like when you go outside to be on a more positive side of life, to get a work, so you could open your own little business or so for yourself, and encourage others to see what you have done in prison. Okay, they could take your part and follow it and stay outside and be a very good citizen of Grenada, and empower other people to do good.
The rehabilitation program has been benefiting me in ways that helping me prepare myself for when I re-enter society, which is pretty soon. My time here I say it's been well spent, because the whole of Grenada know what I'm here for, and the idea is so when I go back out in society to live a productive life, look after my family and myself, and do my best not to ever come back in this place again, because being in prison has certainly changed my life in ways that it's hard to explain, but I know for myself I have made changes. Other officers here could attest to that. The type of person that I have come here as, there's a complete turnaround in my life. Rehabilitation program in jail may not be as much as we like, but as an individual, I am self-motivated. So whatever little rehabilitation program there is, I try my best to fit in myself to take full advantage of it.
The voices of inmates at Her Majesty's Prison who is finding hope behind bars. Life can hit you several blows at once, which can cause you to lose self-control and end up in conflict with the law. When this happens, the law takes its course and you run the risk of going to prison. But if you're serious about improving who you are and finding better ways to respond to your problems, rehabilitation behind the bars can be a first step to empowering you and refocusing your life ahead of re-entering the real world. At the Richmond Hill Prison, inmates are given an opportunity to correct their wrongs by building better selves. The facility now offers several skills training and academic programs as well as rehabilitation sessions, all for the sole reason of ensuring they are not repeat offenders.
The academic and the skills training, the CXC, the school leaving, and the Project Reach. Project Reach is a skills training program that we have in conjunction with the Ministry of Youth. And some of the inmates, they receive their CVQs in small engine repairs, poultry, rearing, electrical installation, and small engine. Yes, those are the areas. Because part of what we are interested in is when inmates come here, is for them to end up leaving here with a skill. And that's what we are doing, because many times when they leave with a skill, based on our own experience, we realize that they do not come back.
While these programs seek to enhance the well-being of the inmates, it also serves as an income generator for the operations of the facility. Poultry farming, crop cultivation, both at the prison and the Mardi Gras farms, electrical installation, building construction, and the bakery serves as the key areas of income generation. Alistair Stanislaus, an inmate in charge of the poultry farm, gave us an inside look of the farm.
I've been on the farm for the last 5 years, working along with Mr. Pierre and the other officer who used to be here before, Mr. Bruffett. When I came, they used to do the poultry production was a bit less, but since I came out on the farm, I mean, with my expertise, they have decided to increase their production, which is pretty good, because now the prison is producing a lot of eggs and a lot of broiler meat what we used to consume on the inside of the prison. Currently, the capacity of birds we have at the prison, the layers, we have 2,500, and the broilers, we presently have 1,200. We have a capacity for 5,000 layers and 3,000 broilers, which I would still love to see the prison increase more than that, because they have the labor force. So if you have the labor force, you might as well invest and have the prison producing a lot more chickens for government institution, especially school feeding program, and start doing mass production, because mass production would always bring down the cost of what comes out in the end.
The bakery industry is said to be the highest revenue income earner at the facility.
The bakery opens at least 3:30 every morning, and we have approximately 18 inmates that work in the bakery. We begin by baking the bread. In fact, we use the mixer, and that mixer is basically a very old mixer. So we use that mixer for mixing the dough. After mixing the dough now, we weigh the dough based on the type of bread that we are making. After we weigh out all our dough, we roll the bread and so on, we put it to rise, and after rising and so on, we put it into the oven. Well, basically the timing of the oven is what type of bread we want to make.
Based on what you do here and the entire production, do you see inmates taking this out to their career after coming from here?
Of course, because we have inmates that left the prison, and when they went out, they work in other bakery, and some of them open their own business.
The government, through its youth development program and the Ministry of Education, plays an integral role in the implementation of these programs and recently conducted a graduation ceremony where 21 inmates received a certification from the National Training Agency and CXC O-level passes. Principal at the institution, Leon Cornwall, says no one inmate should leave the prison walls without achieving any form of education.
In the academic stream, the program caters for inmates at 3 different levels of academic development, namely basic literacy and numeracy, school leaving, and the CXC. In our efforts to elevate the academic level of the inmates, we have been greatly assisted by two ministries, namely the Ministry of Education, in particular the Examinations Unit and the School Supplies Unit. And secondly, the Ministry of Youth in providing us with 4 Imani teachers during the period under review.
Superintendent Rupert Nichols at Her Majesty's Prison says it is important that the public is educated as to the operations at the facility, since it alleviates incidences of repeat offenders.
The population is reached the lowest ever in 4 years, and it came down to 410, the highest population being 523 in 2014. So as Mr. Stroud pointed out, the rehabilitation program, especially the skills component, is very, very good for the prison. And as was asked, the questioner was asked whether it is mandatory or the inmates would have to volunteer. In the past, we had inmates volunteering, but because we see the success of the program that is being run, both academically and on the skill component, we have plans to make it mandatory that when inmates enter the institution, they are assessed and placed in the area that we see that they could help them, make them better individuals to fit back into society.
Social worker at the Richmond Hill Prison, Christopher Stroud, believes that the programs are assisting in the reformation of these offenders. He indicated that there has been a decline in the population there.
And what we find is that most of the inmates who are involved in these programs, they do not return. So whereas in the general population, persons who are not involved in the program, any other programs at all, about 75% of them return. Whereas those who have received the skills are involved in other aspects of the components of the rehab program, about maybe 20% of them return.
With every correctional facility comes the issue of maximum security. At the Richmond Hill Prison, a new upgraded security system has been installed.
Anyone entering the prison must enter the security building. Whether by officers or inmates alike, they all have to enter here. Now, we have 3 different security checks here. We have the X-ray machine, whereby the personal effects will pass through the X-ray room, will be X-rayed. And we also have the walk-through scanner. And then we also have the handheld metal detector, whereby the person give you a rub-down check with the metal detector. Since after we install this security room, we have great success in the prison in terms of alleviating some of the contraband items coming into the prison. So I can say we are moving forward. This is some of the things that we upgrade to, and we're looking forward for more things. The cameras, we have more cameras to install, but thus far, this is how far we reach as putting into our security system at the prison.
Overall, it's plain to see that the officers and managers at Her Majesty's Prison is doing all in their power to ensure a safe and conducive society by reducing the number of return offenders. They are doing this through programs like those instituted by the Ministry of Youth that provides skill training and development and counseling. It's not an easy task, but one that the authorities are willing and ready to tackle head on. For State of Affairs, I am Wendy Edmund.
Five locations have been selected and work has begun on the construction of Phase 2 of the Chinese low-income housing project. Ministry officials took a recent tour of the various sites, and reports are they are pleased with the progress of work. Delroy Louison has more.
When government said that work will begin soon on the second phase of the Chinese low-income housing project, it meant every word. As you can see evidently behind me, right here in Diamond in St. Mark, work has begun for the foundation of the project. In approximately 3 years, Grenadians needing housing will benefit from affordable shelter when the second phase of the Grenada China Low-Income Housing Project is completed. 5 sites are presently being prepared for the erection of 647 housing units. These sites are located at Corinth in St. David, the Villa in St. Patrick, Diamond in St. Mark, Bouchejo in St. George, and Dumfries on the Sister Isle Carriacou. These new sites will add to the already existing ones that are now inhabited by Grenadians in Frequenté Grand Anse, Soubise St. Andrew, and Mangé in St. George. The Grenada China Low-Income Housing Project is being constructed by the Beijing Construction Engineering Group, whose full team is expected on island later this year. In the meantime, accommodation is being prepared for the Chinese team.
About 100 persons live here.
他们大概都什么时候到？
我们要陆续的来，大概得到今年年底吧。
They will not come in one time. Maybe some will come first and some will come later. And I think until the end of this year, all the people will arrive here.
In December last year, representatives from both China and Grenada signed a Memorandum of Understanding for the second phase of the project. The construction of these houses is part of the Human Settlement Program of the Government of Grenada through the Ministry of Social Development, Housing and Community Empowerment, as the Keith Mitchell regime seeks to improve the housing conditions of low-income households on a sustainable basis. It is also part of the overall Grenada Housing Improvement Scheme, which is implemented by that ministry.
Thousands of people, men, women and child, will benefit directly from this development. Hundreds of people will find jobs on the various sites for the next 3 years. So we'll have local people finding jobs as part of the agreement on those different sites.
The Housing Ministry recently visited the sites and saw that foundation work is well on its way. Civil engineer in the Ministry of Works and project manager of the project, Nigel Noel, gives us an overview of the preliminary work to be done on each site before the units are erected.
What we have here, this is building number 2, okay? Foundation for building number 2. So this, the formwork that you see in here is to collect the binding portion of the foundation. So they're about to cast binding here. Now the binding is comprised of 200 PSI concrete mix. So that's the actual strength that you expected to have here. The ground was compacted at 100 kPa. That's the design compaction that was done by the consulting company, right? And now we are here now to basically look at if we are ready for casting that binding.
I want to once again extend thanks to the People's Republic of China for coming to our assistance, for making this big impact, and for being in current.
That was Parliamentary Representative for the Parish of St. David, the Honourable Oliver Joseph. His constituency will receive 226 units, the highest number in the entire housing project. Both parliamentary representatives for St. Patrick East and West, the Honourable Anthony Boson and Pamela Moses, are grateful for having affordable housing come to the historic parish.
We are extremely happy in St. Patrick's today. This is well timed. We are in dire need of housing in St. Patrick's and all of Grenada. But having working with the people in St. Patrick's East, I want to say to you, Ambassador, that what you have done for our people will remain with us. You are changing lives of the people in St. Patrick's, and we are honored to partner with you in servicing the Grenadian people.
I wish to place on record my appreciation and the appreciation of the people of St. Patrick of the efforts of our Minister of Housing, the Honourable Delma Thomas, and the staff of the Ministry of Housing and Social Development for her unwavering support for this project. let me tell you something. This project, the villa was supposed to be the third, what do you call it, not among the first, but the minister and the prime minister had a discussion after I made a strategic intervention, and they both agreed that the villa should be upgraded and replaced among the first two projects to be implemented. So, Minister, I want to thank you for your intervention in this matter.
Apart from the strides being made with the project, what is also important to note is the friendly cooperation which both countries have developed.
I think between China and Grenada will be one team. Yeah, we must have a good cooperation and work together, and also have a good relationship between the two countries.
Reporting from the Chinese Low-Income Housing Project here at Diamond in St. Mark, I'm Delroy Louison for State of Affairs.
Welcome back. The records show that the last 5 years under the Keith Mitchell-led administration has been some of the more brighter days the country has ever seen in over a decade. One of the major achievements under the current government is its ability to drastically reduce the unemployment rate from over 40% to now 24%. Abigail McIntyre explains how this was achieved.
Mr. Speaker, today, Grenada is now at the forefront of all class of activities. I can testify.
The government is celebrating an achievement it says warrants testifying for as it forges ahead with a mission to restore hope and put people back to work.
5 years on, we've seen unemployment drop from in excess of 40% down to 24%, almost half, which is a significant reduction over this period, and an incredible achievement when you compare it to what we faced when we came in.
These last 5 years, brothers and sisters, I believe in my lifetime has been the best 5 years I ever seen in this country. We have come too far to go back.
Reducing the country's unemployment rate from over 40% in 2013 to 24% has been a stunning accomplishment, and the period 2008 to 2013 pales by comparison. Staring into the face of a failing economy and growing unemployment, the Keith Mitchell administration returned to office 5 years ago, facing an uphill struggle.
So what we have seen is an influx of business entities, local expanding, or those who were not even functioning come back on board, and they have captured and created employment for a number of Grenadians.
Tough decisions were necessary if the local economy were to rebound. A structural adjustment program was introduced, emphasizing increased revenue and reduced spending as part of efforts to stabilize the economy.
But what it demonstrates is that the measures that this administration has put in place since coming into office, in terms of re-stimulating the economy, creating new economic opportunities, we are seeing a direct correlation between improvements in our economy, increases in economic opportunities, and the reduction in unemployment.
And so I'm very proud, Mr. Speaker, of the record of this government. And it shows the leadership and the unity of this government, that you must have a united team to achieve that. Everyone had to be on board, everyone working together.
The policies of the Keith Mitchell administration started a turnaround in the local economy, fueled by large growth in construction and tourism as unemployment began a downward trajectory. This falling trend of unemployment is also attributed to the government's policy of pursuing a citizenship by investment program, which grew rapidly in 2017. Many of the new construction projects, employing thousands from Kawana Bay Resort to Renegade Rum Distillery, are as a result of the CBI.
All of these projects, those that have already commenced and those that will commence, all of them are going to produce jobs. They're going to create jobs, because in 9 cases out of 10, what we're looking at is construction activity. Once the construction activity has ended, then you have the operational phase, and that in itself, there's more job creation there.
This is an investor-friendly, a private sector-friendly government and administration, and we have been able to attract, through increased investor confidence, investment both from foreign investment in addition to our own local investors. So if we see private sector development within the tourism and hospitality sector, we have numerous new hotels that are either under construction or existing hotels that are being redeveloped, upgraded.
The falling unemployment rate in the last 5 years can also be attributed to a policy decision by the Mitchell government to support small business. A loan facility by the Grenada Development Bank funded new small businesses and expanded existing ones.
This one was close to the Prime Minister's heart, because he said, if we have to create sustainable jobs and you give our young people who have a business plan and an idea the financing to start, and there is movement in the economy, nothing going to stop them.
That's how small people benefiting from it. Without that, where would you get the money?
Public and private sector activities are on a high, creating hundreds of jobs with the promise of more in the horizon. A growth is also being reported in the island's call centers, where hundreds of new jobs are now available.
In the Prime Minister's recent budget, he indicated there's been a decrease in the unemployment rate. We would like to think that KM's Trade Solutions would have certainly contributed to that success. Currently employing over 350 employees, with anticipated growth to 500 employees in early 2018. Expect KM's Trade Solutions to continue increasing its impact on the overall economy.
I can challenge anybody today, anybody from any walks of life. Look at the work that has been done in Grenada today and tell us that the new National Party as a government is not at work. We are hard at work building our people, and that is what we will continue to do, brothers and sisters.
The old adage says, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And so the proof of government's efforts to stabilize the economy and restore hope to many is evident in the thousands who have been able to find employment and the many others who have been able to create employment for themselves and others. History has recorded government's performance over the last 4.5 years as they are able to boast of a significant reduction in the country's unemployment rate. This is an achievement worth testifying. I am Abigail McIntyre.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.